Friday, happy Wednesday. Let's check it out.
Give you some American history I know you niggas didn't know that I learned in the 10th grade. Hello, Negroes. I like to give you some American history I know you niggas didn't know that I learned in the 10th grade. Shout out to Charles Holmes, white man history teacher. The reason you hear 40 acres and a mule so much, you don't know where it's come from, you feeble-minded Negro. So I'm going to teach you some, but I'm going to offend you the whole way, because when you go Google it and ask ChatGPT, it's going to tell you that I'm telling the truth, and your black ass going to be so fucking mad because you ain't know it, Negro. After the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln, who was a Republican, came up with this idea for 40 acres and a mule. Go look it up. 400,000
Florida
was dedicated to former slaves on the coast of South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. And they actually started giving the land out. Slaves went and signed up for land and got 40 acres and a mule. About 50,000 slaves got land. What happened? They killed Abraham Lincoln, and then a Democratic named Andrew Johnson came in place. He said, fuck what Lincoln said about giving them 40 acres and a mule. He actually was nicknamed the War Democrat, the one that hated niggas. You feeble-minded motherfuckers that don't know nothing. Can I get back to the lesson, though? Andrew Johnson rescinded Lincoln's 40 acres and a mule. Not only did he rescind it so they would stop giving the slaves the 40 acres and a mule, he made it so the Confederate soldiers could take the land back. And they went along the coast of South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, killing niggas and taking 40 acres and a mule back. So you niggas didn't know that we actually were given our 40 acres and a mule. Every slave don't get it. It take a long time. If we were to get reparations now, it would have to be truncated over a period. So the slaves were moving to South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, getting their 40 acres and a mule under the Republican president, Abraham Lincoln. And then a Democratic president named Andrew Johnson, known as the War Democrat. Like now, he kind of just changed the law the next year. Kind of like when Trump came in and said, fuck Obamacare. I know you motherfucking feeble-minded niggas don't know nothing about politics. Ooh, I'm turning into the macho man. You niggas don't know anything about politics. Niggas was given 40 acres and a mule. And Andrew Johnson came in. He let the Confederate soldiers take it back. You feeble-minded nigga. You don't know nothing. Don't ever challenge me, nigga. I knew this in the 10th grade, nigga. Ooh, you nigga, you don't know shit.
All right. So this brother, his name is
Good morning. I'm trying to give you guys as much facts as I can and find and look at it. I'm gonna start using X too as well. Show some more videos from X as well, because information is out there and YouTube don't give it all. And this clip this guy is talking is from X. So yeah, check him out. But let's continue. Good morning. Like, share, and subscribe.
The modern masculine man. And we went ahead and we fact-checked it the same way he said we should. He says blacks were given 40 acres and a mule by a Republican president named Abraham Lincoln. A Democratic president named Andrew Johnson got rid of it after Lincoln was assassinated. Fact check. Mostly accurate on the outcome with some simplifications. Special Field Orders number 15, January 16th, 1865 by Union General William T. Sherman. I think it's important that I bring this up. I tell you all the time. Is God and family first. 400,000 acres of confiscated coastal land in South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida for freed black families in 40-acre plots. Now, oh, Jesus. Oh, Lord. This is new to me, man. This is awesome. The Army later lent mules, roughly 40,000.
Good morning, Bud. What up, Florida? Good morning, you guys. You're right.
By 1865. Now, here's the part that he wants the Democrats to see. This is the part that you guys got to share the video for, man, so it can reach the algorithm of those people who will not eat this food up that we're feeding them. Lincoln, the Republican, was assassinated in April 1865. President Andrew Johnson, Democrat, reversed the order later that year via amnesty and circular number 15. Returning most land to former Confederate owners. That's what Andrew Johnson did. Evictions followed. They started kicking people off their land that Lincoln gave them. Some violence occurred and
What up, Jason?
Reconstruction tensions. It was a temporary military policy, not permanent legislation. Given
No problem. Good morning. Glad you're in the chat.
Unfortunately, the ink was not put on the paper the right way, and they were able to take it back. So, bro, we learned a whole lot, class. Please tell me what you learned. Now, don't tell me anything about the party switch, because that's what a lot of people are trying to say. He's oversimplifying this, and it's about party switch and party switch back to this, that, and other. No, it was a Democrat president that said, "Oh hell no!" What Lincoln did, rip this up. Let's go. Get this back. Whatever people got land, go get it. Arrest them. Bruh. Wow. You know, I do a lot of videos on social media. A lot of them are satire, where I play around with race and I tell white people that they need to apologize to me because of slavery and redlining and all those things, right? And yeah, I'm joking. I don't need nobody to apologize.
So the party never switched.
Nor do I need anybody to pay me for anything unless it was promised. If it's something that's promised by the United States of America, it is something that has not been paid yet, yes, I don't have an issue with getting it. Why? Because there's been a lot of groups of individuals in this country who have gotten something that was promised to them. So I would like that too. But if that's not the case, I'm not going to sit here and beat a dead horse. But what I do like, hear me out now, what I do like is actual information that backs what happened. Undeniable information that backs what happened. All of this party switch BS, come on guys, y'all got to stop that. Because Abraham Lincoln was the one that set everything in motion. His administration did anyway. Set everything in motion. And they actually started to get it done until a Democrat president was like, no more. This is something that needs to spread far beyond us. You can share it to one or two people, and they will share it to one or two people. You can share it to one place, and they will share it to one place. But at the end of the day, people need to see this. The reason why is because it will lessen tensions. It will give people more understanding. It will make far more people objective and less defensive of one side or the other. All this being based mess, acting as if we know everything, that's what's ruining us as a people. Because none of us have all of the information. That's why it's great to have these conversations. Now, breaking into someone's algorithm, it's a little difficult. It's a little tricky. The reason why is because we don't like to, we protect our mental health. And the way we do it is by clicking on content that make us feel good and does not challenge us challenge our political beliefs, our religious beliefs, or anything that will make us feel like we're doing something wrong in life, right? So if somebody who has been preaching that we need our reparations, we were promised 40 acres and a mule, Republicans are racist, it's the Republicans' fault that black people ain't getting this and they ain't getting that. That's the stuff that needs to spread. The reason why is because there's so many people out here who are misled. It's a bunch of sheep that's just falling over the cliff because they're following each other over the cliff. None of them have the information, the proper information. There's people who are getting louder and louder and louder talking about reparations. We need reparations and we need them now. You guys promised them to us and we never seen them. But the same people never went up to the Obamas while they were in office for 2 administrations as the black saviors of this nation. And when I say that, I'm saying it in jest, but that's how a lot of black people in America look at the Obamas. Like, bro, you were supposed to save us. You were supposed to get that 40 acres and a mule for us. Well, Andrew Johnson already said, boop. And Abraham Lincoln did not make it an official law, an official policy. He just said, yo, this is what we're going to do because of boom, 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 boom. And when he was gone, they was like, okay, y'all know what happened. Like when me and my brother was growing up, he would wake us up talking about time to train. We had to box each other at 3 o'clock in the morning, do push-ups, do set-ups, put our hands behind our backs and let our brothers punch us in the stomach. We had to put on boxing gloves and fight each other. All this stuff that we did not do, half of it we did while crying and snotting because we did not want to do it, but we couldn't tell him no because my cousin Diane, who is my guardian, she went to go work a couple of hours at night, overnight at the hospital. And that's what he did. Because when Abraham Lincoln left, time to train. We're going to do whatever the hell I want to do. We're going to wake these kids up at 3 o'clock in the morning and make them fight each other. That's what we're going to do.
I think are two different things. I think there are many whites who act friendly toward Negroes. These are parents that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. Being friendly and being a friend, I think, are two different things. I think there are many
What up, Mark?
who act friendly toward Negroes. A fox acts friendly toward the lamb. And usually the fox is the one who ends up with the lamb chop on his plate. The wolf doesn't act friendly. And therefore the wolf has more difficulty in getting the lamb chop in his plate.
I'd like to point out, though, that
I say that because it is usually if you study the structure of the Negro community, economically, politically, civically, psychologically, and otherwise, it's controlled by the white liberal, who usually poses as the friend of the Negro, who actually differs from the white conservative in the same way that the fox differs from the wolf. Their appetite is the same. Their motives are the same. It's only their mannerisms and methods that differ.
When Abraham Lincoln died, Andrew Johnson was like, man, damn that. Forget all that. We're not giving these people 400,000 acres of land. Are you kidding me? We're not giving these individuals 40,000 mules. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Kick rocks in your socks, Jack. So yeah, this is unfortunate that it happened this way, but I understand because a nation was being built, certain rules and regulations were in place, and certain things had to happen in order for certain people, myself included, women and others who did not have the same rights. Let's help them out more. And that's what happened. That's why a lot of y'all need to soften when we're talking about special programs for people. Veterans have special programs. Women have special programs. Children have special programs. Immigrants have special programs. The alphabet community have special programs. Black people only have special programs because of the history of our country. And a lot of y'all that say there is no history that I guess leans toward helping a certain group of individuals. I always been poor. That's you burying your head in the sand and not wanting to learn, not wanting to be objective. I'm just letting you know right now, you're being pig-headed by not even wanting to receive the information. Just saying. But y'all let me know whatever y'all want me to know in the comments below. If you have yet to hit that subscribe button, please make sure you do so on your way out the door. Once again, guys, I'm Van. Now we are all the Alpha family. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Hope
that's violence, their ideas are violence, but there's a million unborn people from abortion. Is that funny?
Yes, it is. Oh, it's very funny.
So I guess we should probably just kill them before they're born, right? Yeah. Republicans are violent. Yes. I'm asking for one specific example that is a right-winger who went out and committed an act of violence against me.
He went into a place that was having known violence going on.
Right, bud. You definitely right on that, man.
Violence by who? Leftists.
Liberals on YouTube.
We're here at the Lakeland Farmers
Any
Market
liberals on
for
social
the
media.
1-year anniversary of getting trespassed from this public property. I think it's untrue that I can't stop.
Step over here.
No, I'm going to continue my interviews.
You guys are saying kind of disrespectful things about deportation and saying some hateful statements.
Okay.
So at this point now they do want to have you trespass from the property.
We're back doing the exact same thing that got me in trouble to begin with. Asking for political hot takes from leftists here in the public square. You already know how this is going to end. Roll the tape. So I'm going to go down the line. I'm going to say my statements, and you just say agree or disagree. And there's no in the middle. It's just agree or disagree. That's what makes it so fun. Okay, ready? Republicans are violent.
Yes.
Okay. Deport all illegals.
No.
Okay. We should support transing the kids.
transing the kids or support trans kids?
Well, supporting trans kids, and let me clarify, that means at any age, if they come to us and say that they are of the opposite sex or in the wrong body, we should do whatever means necessary to help them transition.
Okay, that's based on parent and kid. So I'll say yes, support trans kids, but that's I should stay out of that though.
Okay. There should be no limits on abortion. Agreed. Okay. And Trump is the worst president that we've had in our lifetime.
Totally agree.
You can check mark the things that you agree with. Okay. Republicans are violent. Agree or disagree? Okay. Support all illegals.
No one's illegal on stolen land.
Of course.
Oh
Support
my
trans
gosh.
kids.
It was conquered.
100%. No abortion limits. Okay. Trump is the worst president of the United States.
Oh, look at it. Look at it.
1,000,000%.
Okay. I love how you made up your own metrics. How are Republicans violent?
Just their beliefs, racism, some of them.
Okay.
And, well, ICE, abolish ICE.
Okay. So when we say Republicans, there's been a lot of political violence in our country lately, and people are saying, oh, the right commits more, or some people are saying the left commits more. Do you see more right-wing violence from Republicans?
I mean, I just think that the hate is violent.
Okay, so their ideas are violent.
Yeah.
What are some of
Wow.
ideas that are violent?
You hear that, Chad? The ideas are violent, but the actions are not. Because the actions are the left wing. They the ones doing all the violence and killing.
Supporting ICE.
And their support of ICE is a violent thing about them. Okay.
Well,
Can you name?
murdering citizens and children.
That's in which
Oh, wow.
Well,
What children?
In camps.
I do have to point out that if
Good morning,
murdering
Matt.
children is violence, you guys did agree with no abortion limits at all.
Well, we're different on that again. Yeah.
How do you justify that?
Well-
That's violence. Their ideas are violence, but you support abortion without restriction.
I don't agree with abortion necessarily. On this, it's not that I support abortion. It's that I support the right to choose.
That is supporting abortion, right?
No.
Because you put a check mark next to no abortion limits.
Yeah. Well.
That means women have the right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Men
no
don't have
limits.
the right to
CRX,
tell
you're right.
me what my limits are.
Really? Do you think that you should be allowed to rape and hit people?
No.
Well, that's a limit that you have with your body, right?
No, because you're putting that upon other people's bodies.
Yeah, so we are not allowed to use our bodies to hurt other people. Right. But just like you don't like how ICE agents,
Here's your pen.
right, just kind of like how you think ICE agents are
Right.
using their bodies to hurt people.
Yeah.
John Cohen,
Support
that's what's
all
up.
Illegals.
Agree or
What?
disagree?
Which one is agree and which one disagree?
A check mark for agree.
I disagree.
Disagree? Okay. Support trans kids.
Definitely agree. Because why wouldn't I?
Okay. No abortion limits. So
You can tell in his
abortion
voice.
through all 9 months.
Put some bass in your
without
voice.
apology,
Put some
for any
bass.
reason a woman wants it. Okay. Trump is the worst president of the United States we've ever had.
I don't agree, but I don't disagree with that one either.
Oh.
We have to pick one.
That one I'm going to skip that one too.
Okay. Let's go back to support trans
Amazing.
kids. Why do you agree with supporting trans kids?
So it kind of depends. Because I'm not saying I wouldn't. At first, I will let them explore. And then when they get old enough, then I'll let them transition. Because they're still kids at the end of the day. They're not fully developed, so they don't really know. And even as an adult, we don't even know. So it kind of goes back and forth. I would just be real careful with that one, though. But I definitely support them. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna support them.
In what ways would you support a trans identifying child?
Definitely let them be more gender fluid. If you let them
Yeah,
be more
bro, that's
gender
crazy,
fluid, then
man.
they
After
can
the birth
experience
point, you
both
can take your
things.
kid out.
That way,
That's
Then
insane.
if they know, they know. So once they hit that age, they're fully welcome to do whatever they want to do. So I would say let them really branch off, see what they like.
We should deport all illegals.
I also disagree.
Disagree with that? Okay. We should support trans kids, and that means by helping them transition.
I agree with that.
You agree with that? There should be no limits on abortion.
I agree.
Agree? Go ahead and put that.
What?
Trump is the worst president in history.
I disagree.
Okay. Support trans kids, and I clarified that meant that would also mean helping them transition as minors. Why do you support that?
I believe you can put them on hormone blockers or some other thing that's probably reversible. The kid wants it. I believe in issue whatever they want to. I don't know, man.
You said probably reversible.
Probably.
But what if it's not?
Oh well.
You think we should just look at a child's health and their future and the pills we're putting in their body and say, well, oh well, if it's not reversible.
Yeah. Basically.
Why do you feel that way about children?
It's more of, well, I don't really know.
We should deport all illegals. Okay? We should support trans kids, and that means, and let me clarify before you put something down, we should support them in a way of transitioning if they say that they want to transition. Okay? There should be no limits on abortions.
I would agree with that. Would you agree with that?
More or less,
If we're getting into generalizations, because I feel like most late-term abortions are like a medically necessary one when we talk about them like that.
Okay. Trump is the worst president.
Oh, this is such a subjective question because I know about some really awful presidents we've had in the past. Oh.
That's where it tests your ability.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with no.
No. All right. That pains you.
It pains me physically, but I know about Andrew Jackson, and he was a really terrible human being.
So can you give me one example of a right winger who has committed an act of violence?
Yes, but I can't think of their name. But
Have you ever heard of Savannah Craven?
no.
Savannah Hernandez.
Are you ready to walk?
Have you ever heard of Charlie Kirk?
Got to go. Thank you.
Yeah. Have you heard of the Catholic school students that were all shot up by
Facts. They gotta run. It's kryptonite. They gotta go. They're getting weak.
people? Any example of a right winger committing acts of violence? Any?
My stepfather.
In what way?
Raped and beating me.
In the name of republicanism?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
He raped you, and I'm sorry about that. He raped you because that's a Republican ideology? Are there different implications that
Where'd
if
that come
we
from?
subject children and we tell them, yeah, you know what, experiment, maybe you are in the wrong body? Or is it more important to tell them, actually, you are a boy? And
I think it's better if we let them experiment. Experiment, because at the end of the day, you don't even know.
we know.
You're right, you
Until
goofy.
you hit about a certain age.
We
Huh?
know men. We know what men and women are.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
But we also don't know what we like.
Does that change if you're a man or a woman?
Damn.
Now that I think about it, I never really thought about it that way. Huh. Good food for thoughts.
Oh, he said that? This guy in the jersey?
Oh, I didn't say anything. I plead the fifth.
Are you drunk?
No, I'm completely sober.
Really? So you act like this completely sober?
Yeah.
I don't mind if you shout things about me, but what I would appreciate is if you're gonna shout things about me, especially things that are false, that when I come up to you, you could own up to it and then engage in a dialogue instead of shouting things.
I mean, yeah, I admit it was mean.
Okay. Can you say you're sorry?
No.
All right.
Okay, fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I forgive
Caitlin.
you.
I'm sorry. Can you please forgive me?
I do forgive you. Yes, I do that. All right.
It was just a joke. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It won't happen again.
I support the right to get that in the knife mouth.
You support.
I do.
Yeah. So who has the right to do this to another person?
Hey Brian, where's the video of her pooping in her pants? Everybody keep on saying she pooped in her pants. I went online to look for it. It doesn't exist. Where you get this from?
Told you. Any woman in pregnancy, it's her body until it comes out.
But is this her body?
No.
If this were her body, she'd be dead.
If I cut off someone's arm's dead.
Are you allowed to cut off someone's arm?
No, someone could do that.
Why not? Why not?
It's not my arm.
This is not the woman's body.
I would say that's her body.
How is this baby in a coffin, or this baby with severed arms and blood all over their head, a dead baby? How is that a woman's body?
How
Goofy.
was that a woman's body? I was taken from her body.
So it's not her body. Does a woman who's pregnant with a male fetus have a penis?
Inside her, yeah.
Inside of her body, right? But she herself does not have a penis, right? So it's not her body.
No, it's still her body.
Oh my
Explain
God.
that to me.
I don't want to.
So January 6th.
I don't want to.
Okay. Go on about that.
Hope you guys like
Well, we
this,
had a
chat.
bunch of
Hope you
people,
like it.
Being told by the president at the time that the election was rigged. So they decided under his advisement to storm the Capitol. And we had police officers that were killed, a lot of people that were hurt, violent. So yeah, Republicans are violent. Since it's not a gray area, like you said before, it's black and white. So I'm going with Republicans are violent.
Okay, all right. And I'm not going to disagree with you that there was some violence there that day. Do you know the only person, you know who the only person who died that day was?
There were a couple of cops that died that day.
No, thanks.
Oh, but I love the nose rings.
I'm not interested in talking to you and the bullshit you have.
It's always the nose piercings. We should deport all illegal aliens.
Absolutely not.
Okay. We should support trans kids, and that means helping them transition medically and surgically.
Yeah.
Okay. We should have no limits on abortion.
So come on, Brian. I'm showing you facts in real time, man. What are you talking about? She's getting poop in her pants, man. Stop bringing it up.
Absolutely.
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 Okay, why is he the worst one?
He's just a terrible
Just
human.
watch the video. There's no video of her pooping in her pants or anything like that. So you gotta bring it up no more, Brian. It's a waste of time, man. Watch the video and learn.
President or not, he's a terrible human.
What examples do you have to point to that?
You don't care about anybody but yourself in every way. So yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna need more like
more to that. I don't know why am I nervous that he's looking at me with this camera.
So I think in any case of
Good
major
morning,
surgery
good
like
morning,
that,
Chad.
mental health evaluations are important. Because talking about how like any kind of surgery impacts our body, it can also lead to recovery periods. It can lead to issues with how society perceives us, all kinds of problems with that.
But you think that a 14-year-old woman, a girl, who thinks that she's a boy,
It doesn't matter, Brian. It doesn't exist. Pictures, whatever you're trying to say, it doesn't exist.
Again, I think we're getting into the idea of generalizations, and
it's a yes or no. Do you think that as long as the doctor signs off on it and she really wants it, we should allow a 14-year-old child to get her breast cut off?
If it's cut as a yes or no, then yes.
I know, Adrian. It is Brian. Brian, you know, he's been in the chat for a while. Brian, you know, wants to say crazy stuff, so I don't mind bringing up facts in real time to let him know that he's on the wrong side and he's lying.
It is that individual person's like opinion, and I would assume as a 14-year-old they're a minor, so they have to get their parents' permission too. So it's what's decided is best for them by their family.
Okay, so there's a bunch of evidence that's
I'm asking for one Republican that you can name of that has committed an act of violence in the name of their ideology.
Since I don't know, since you're catching me off
Drill,
guard, I
baby,
don't remember
drill.
the exact name of
Yes.
the ICE agent that killed Alex Preddy, or the exact ICE agent that killed Renee Good. So those are very recent.
Should have stayed at home.
Only examples?
Renee Good should have
Okay,
stayed at
so-
home.
I can also point to the trans identifying people who shot up multiple Christian schools and Christian children in the name of the trans ideology.
Okay, so how about
Wow.
us bombing an Iran school full of kids and teachers?
Okay. So what I'm asking for is specific examples of Republicans engaging in acts of violence against their political enemies for political ends and means.
I just gave you one.
That's not an example.
For Republican ends and means, okay, we shouldn't be in Iran. There should not have been a bombing of a school in Iran.
I agree with you.
Okay, so that's
So I'm not asking for
because it's obviously not supported by Democrats. It is highly supported by Republicans. So Republicans are the ones that are calling the orders to bomb a school in Iran.
So I don't believe that that's what happened. If you have evidence that Republicans have been out here ordering schools to be bombed, I would love for it for you. But I'm asking for one specific example of a person you can name that is a right-winger who went out and committed an act of violence against, does that touch me?
Kyle Rittenhouse. And I was not touching you, I was touching the microphone. Kyle Rittenhouse. He did not have to go to where he was going. He actually took his gun and went into a place of violence. And he knew that he was going to get, and you're shaking your head. So obviously obviously this discussion is over. Thank you very much.
We can't disagree. Okay, Kyle Rittenhouse defended himself.
He went into a place that was having known violence going on.
By who? By who? Violence by who? Leftists.
No.
Yeah, he went into a place to defend.
They were protesting quietly when.
No, they were not. He was being chased by a known pedophile who had a gun with him, ma'am.
Epstein.
Epstein wasn't a Republican.
Look at the Epstein file.
He wasn't a Republican. All right, no abortion limits. You're going to have to justify a woman being allowed to abort her child that is 9 months in the womb. You're going to have to justify that one.
Well, with women, there could be a lot of health concerns during pregnancy. It could be either some women don't want it or some women are forced to. So I would just say with that one is there's a lot of body things because there's a lot of things that can happen. Some people don't want to die, but
I'm sure the baby doesn't want to die.
that's true. But you never know.
I want your justification for why that is necessary and a choice someone can make to do to someone else.
If raising a kid could mess up their life, or if they just don't want the idea of giving birth to somebody.
Oh no, they're giving birth. The baby is dead.
Giving birth to a living person, I mean, the idea that you gave birth to someone who's out in the world, I can understand not wanting that responsibility.
So if that woman gave birth and then 2 months later she realizes, I really don't want to take care of this live baby. I'd rather this baby be dead. I really don't want to do this. Would you be okay with her drowning her baby in her pool?
No.
Why not?
That baby's alive. It's out there. Out in the world. I think the moment it's born, gets its rights.
If a 14-year-old thought that she would be more like herself or true self by being blind, would you support a doctor and her parents signing off to take her eyes out?
Well, so at that point, it becomes a logical fallacy, right? Because so you can have reconstructive surgery to get breast implants, and you can take hormone therapy and all kinds of things for like breast tissue, but eyes are a one and done. Like you remove it, it's ended. And so,
Well, if you cut off your breast, you take away your ability to breastfeed.
and not everybody wants to breastfeed.
But she might. But if she wants to be blind and she wants her eyes taken out because she feels like that's her true self, she's a disabled, vision impaired person, why wouldn't that be okay to do?
Talking statistics and arguing these points. What statistics do you have for the number of people that have wanted to electively have their eyes removed?
Oh, I don't know, but a doctor has done that before for a woman. And when another woman has been rejected, she actually put bleach into her eyes to make herself blind. But I'm just testing your guys' consistency here. If it's okay for a doctor and a woman's parents to sign off on a 14-year-old removing her healthy breasts, why wouldn't it be okay if we removed her eyes if she felt that she would be her true self as a blind person?
So again, this is, like I say,
My opinion on that is, first of all, people can do what they want to do.
No, they can't.
All right. Removing eyes disables a person, impacts their quality of life. Regardless of what you might think, removing breasts does not impact someone's quality of life or ability
Really?
to interact with the world.
Okay. But if that's their choice, well, how are you to say
That's
it?
their choice. I don't get to say whether or not they do it.
That's still wrong. Epstein was not a Republican, ma'am.
Okay, maybe
Duh.
not at the time.
He still is not.
Because he's dead. Because of his friend.
Well, if he's dead, he's definitely now a Democrat.
Okay. Donald Trump.
You do know that
Epstein
Kyle
files.
Rittenhouse was found not
Donald Trump
guilty,
is in the
right?
Epstein files. It has been reported multiple times by teenagers that at the time were hurt by him, and that has all been sealed right now. So please walk along, do your thing, get your news from fake.
Well, if you get your news in great places, why can't you back up any of your claims?
Look up BBC.
You can't even tell me what the BBC has said, ma'am. We know that that child does not choose to have their life ended.
But some people don't choose to have a child either.
They don't have to raise the child, but they are not allowed to kill them either.
But the healthcare system is not always welcoming towards children.
So we should kill them before they're born?
I'm not saying we should kill them. I'm not saying we should do anything. But it's really up to the woman's choice.
Okay. So justify a woman going into an abortion clinic at 9 months. And do you know what an abortion at 9 months looks like?
Nope.
You've
Damn.
never heard of it.
So I really wouldn't know.
Well, we all know most abortionists are men, so they aren't women either, but they perform and commit these abortions. At 9 months, the baby's heart is stopped. And then
And these are American voters, you guys. This is sad, man. How they walk around daily like this, thinking like this. That's crazy. That's why I'm trying to show this to you guys, man. So we can go out here and show the world, like, hey, wake up, stop being stupid. Because these people are brain dead, mentally illness. Period. This is straight mental illness. Lack of research, watching 10-second videos. That's the information right there. 10-second video. I got everything I need to know and run with it. No research. You gotta do research, you guys. Like, share, and subscribe.
the woman is put through labor. She's given Pitocin and drugs to induce labor. And she actually gives birth. It's a 3-day process. She gives birth anyway. But the baby is dead instead of alive because they stopped the baby's heart. Tell me what medical reason that would be necessary versus a C-section to save both lives.
I really want to know. Because once again, I'm not a woman. So I can't experience pregnancies like y'all do. And I really don't understand. I don't really understand the point of carrying a baby and all that. So it's really just...
How did you get here, you idiot?
Really up to me.
Okay. Are you a pedophile?
No.
Okay. Do you think pedophilia should be illegal?
Yes.
But if you're not a pedophile and you don't dabble in that, why do you have an opinion and want protection for those children?
I guess it just depends on the child. It's a child, so it can't really decide.
Well, what is a woman pregnant with? What is a woman pregnant with?
I'm sorry about that, so we gotta go.
What happens?
Damn! You could have told her to hold on. You should say, hold on, sweetheart, let me continue this conversation. Be a man about it. Wow.
I don't really believe it's just subjective.
Conception.
Conception?
Yeah, that's the point that life begins.
I would disagree.
Okay, so tell me when it begins.
When life begins, I just told you when.
At birth. Okay, what happens during the birth canal? When I gave birth to my 2 children, what magic does my vagina have that gave those children their rights?
I don't really know.
Because if I'm magical like that, like if I have a magical vagina that just gives people their rights when they pass through it, I would love to know what magical concept I have.
I don't know. The law probably gives you that.
But you should completely, even understanding after you explain that, you should completely go case by case.
Someone doesn't want that baby. What quality of life does that baby have?
What quality of life? What the heck?
Do they have after they're born?
It's called an abort. I mean, I'm saying an adoption. Get an adoption. Get an adoption. Don't kill the baby. Get an adoption. Plenty of people out there want the baby the right way.
I guess we should probably just kill them before they're born, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
Why do you think that?
Dude, I mean, what support do we have for children who are born?
How'd you get here?
Oh, there's a lot of programs.
So, I mean, let's talk. I mean, now we're talking about like people who are, foster children, foster system, which we all know is not ideal.
Okay.
There's plenty of foster children horror stories.
Okay.
I assume from the way this is targeted.
I have a lot of friends who are in the foster system. I actually know an amazing Catholic family who has taken in more than 10. Let me talk. That have taken in a lot of foster children from so many different backgrounds. Yeah. Do you think it would be better to look at a foster child and say it would have been better if your mom had poisoned you in the womb and suctioned your brain out?
Obviously not.
But that is what you're arguing.
That's not what I'm arguing. That's not what I said. Or
Can you reiterate and clarify what you mean?
Yeah, because you put words in my mouth. So
that's exactly what you think. You said if a child is unwanted.
You guys aren't doing an argument. You're really just. That's okay.
Then prove me wrong. Because that's exactly what you just advocated for, ma'am.
So I would like to say that most Americans are not black and white like this.
But
most
you were.
Americans do go down the middle. Most Americans believe that not all Republicans are violent. Most Americans believe that deporting all illegals is bad, but deporting some illegals, yes, I agree with that. Trans kids, stay the heck out of that conversation.
Why?
It's not your point, because they're not my kids. If my kids was trans, I would want you to stay out of that business.
Okay. So if someone is raping, you cared about Epstein stuff though, that was crimes against children, right?
Right.
No, that's none of your business.
Yep.
I'm sorry, what?
That's none of your business, is it?
Okay, the perpetrator. Okay, you're doing a false equivalence.
No, I'm
okay.
No, she's not.
Transing children is abusive. It's abuse to children.
It is your
Can you justify how cutting the breast off of a 12-year-old girl because she thinks she's a man is not abuse?
Okay, can you agree that
Answer my question. Justify that to me.
At cannibalism, calling them what? Ordering pizza. They taste like cream cheese.
Yeah, that's wrong. I also think it's wrong to cut off healthy body parts of children, ma'am.
Again, if we're talking about that, it's a gender expression question. So logical fallacies are errors in logic and reasoning. So this would be a false equivalency situation.
No, how can a woman become a man?
Because the identifiers for a lot of trans people is gender specific. So how we express ourselves outwardly.
How can a woman become a man? What is a woman?
And that is a much bigger question than I think.
What is a woman?
Gender is a social contract.
What is a woman?
What is a woman? Whatever they want to be. Not
Which is what?
I'm different than you. She's different than
But
me.
we're all women.
But we're different than any other woman.
But we're all women.
We are in this particular scenario, but we're all different. We're not.
And a woman.
And so a woman is not always the same. A woman can be anything. And I think a lot of where this.
What is the definition of a woman?
I think a lot of where this comes from is trying to push people into tiny boxes and say, this is what a woman is, this is what a man is. And
then correct me. What is a woman?
I'm saying whenever you try to push people into those boxes and say you are either a woman or a man if you feel these things, that's when we're really pushing people into boxes. Because if you say, oh, you like sports, men like sports,
that's not what
then no. I'm using this as an example. Okay. If you say this is like men like blue and women like pink. If you like pink, you must be a woman. If you like blue, you must be a man.
Or the inverse.
If I like
woman,
blue as a woman, well, I can't be a woman anymore because I like blue.
But here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying any of that. Men can be feminine and like pink, and they can paint their nails. That doesn't mean they're a woman. It means they're a man who paints their nails. That's what I'm trying to say. And it's funny that you guys kind of made my point for me right there.
I disagree.
If you cut your breast off, if a 14-year-old girl cuts her breast off, it doesn't make her a man. She's still a woman. She's a woman who is mutilated by her doctors and let down by her family.
Good
I disagree.
one.
I want concrete answers. I want concrete opinions with facts and logic behind them, because what you're doing is advocating for the genocide of more than 1 million people every year from abortion. Yeah. What is genocide?
Genocide would be the murder of a whole group or culture of people based on religion, culture, race.
Democrat Party.
The status of a group of people, right?
I would say so.
Unborn people. There's 1 million unborn people. Is that funny?
Yes, it is. Oh, it's very funny.
What's so funny about the genocide of unborn people?
Damn.
I don't know, boss.
I would love to know, because if there's a joke I'm missing out on, I'd love to laugh about it too.
There's no joke.
You know, there's a reason it's funny that you support giving children chemical castration drugs to stop their puberty that they are naturally supposed to go through, and you don't care about the consequences of that. And you also support murdering them before they even come out of the womb. There's a correlation here. You don't value life, do you?
No.
Damn.
Why not?
I think when you die, it just kind of is, you know? Yeah.
Well, go ahead and kill yourself now then.
Up or down. I don't think it really matters, dog.
I'll take my marker back.
Take it, dude.
I think you should be on a watch list.
Really? I think I should too. I've honestly really enjoyed this conversation with you. And I mean that since...
What is your name?
My name's Silas.
What is a
A
woman?
woman is anything she wants to be.
Which is?
Anything. Again, anything is anything. There are no absolutes in the world. That is my firm opinion, whether in this conversation...
There are an absolute.
So they can be Superman too, huh? So they can go ahead and get on top of a roof and jump off the roof and expect to go just fly off. You people are sick. You gotta pray for these people, y'all.
The woman is an absolute.
100% things where one thing is this and one thing is that. There is always some difference where things can be one thing or another.
What is a man? Is that a better question to ask you?
No, I think it's the exact same question on the other side. A man is a man.
Okay, but when someone says, I'm a woman, what does that mean that they are?
That means they're a woman.
Which is what?
I mean, nothing beyond that without knowing.
Can you define woman without using the term woman?
I have no interest in doing that.
But it's important if we're saying that men can be women and women is this weird idea out here, there's no abstract to it. We got to know what it is. When someone says, I'm a woman, what does that mean that they are?
Why do we need to define it? Is
because
it
women
us feel more comfortable?
Because truth matters.
Okay, so the truth is what people think. Truth is a highly subjective thing.
No, it's not.
It is.
Everyone
It's not.
truth.
Men cannot be
The
women.
same experience on one day. You have a different version of the story than I do, which means you have your truth, I have my truth. Neither one of us is necessarily lying. We've just experienced it differently and have a different truth regarding it.
The truth is only the truth. There are not two different versions.
Period.
$30. It wasn't a race. Absolute massacre. In fact, some are calling it a massacre. The Republican establishment just got hit by a Texas-sized freight train, and they never saw it coming. Last night in the Lone Star State, the most powerful, the most funded, the most entrenched rhino in the entire United States Senate got absolutely annihilated. We're talking about a 4-term incumbent, the former Senate Majority Whip, a man backed by the Bush dynasty, crushed by 30 points. It wasn't a race. It was a political execution. Stick them to the very end of this video because we're going to break down everything. The money, the donors, the power brokers, and exactly why last night wasn't just a Texas story. It was a death knell for the Republican establishment and victory for the future of MAGA and America First. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, enjoying yet another glorious day in the Trumpian golden age that you made possible back in November 2024. So if you want a front row seat on how you continue to change the nation and indeed the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, if the news has been leaving you exhausted and overwhelmed lately, that's exactly what they want. My free Patriot Alerts are the antidote. Every morning, one clear update that reminds you we're winning with the undeniable proof. Scan the QR code below and feel the difference today. All right, let's dive right in here. It was nothing short of stunning. Last night, the entire nation witnessed a 4-term incumbent, one of the most powerful senators in all of Congress, get crushed by 30 points. Literally 1 minute.
Brian, people not afraid about the gas prices. You are. If people can handle Biden gas prices for 4 years in a row, we can handle a couple of months.
After the polls closed in El Paso, the westernmost county of Texas, within 1 minute, the AP called it. Right away, as the returns started coming in, literally just minutes after polls are closed, it was absolutely clear that Cornyn was getting absolutely blown out. Even MSNBC recognized it.
And then in the election day vote, I have Paxton at 87 over Cornyn 13.
Goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, right. In the early vote in this county, at Stonewall County, Adams talking about 28 points is the margin for Paxton over Cornyn. And now we're starting to get election day. But we said this would be the more Cornyn friendly was the expectation. The election day vote, everyone election day, presumably full knowledge of that Trump endorsement. Paxton had already done better with the election day vote back in the preliminary. Wow. A 74-point margin from 28 to 74. So if that's a harbinger, what we're seeing in that one small county, then where you see Paxton red right here, is going to get deeper and deeper Paxton.
You heard that right. A 74% margin. This was a Liz Cheney level blowout. Of Texas's 254 counties, John Cornyn won 4. 4 to Paxton's 250. And note, those 4 are the most liberal counties in Texas, like Travis, where Austin is, and Dallas. Everywhere else, it was a Paxton blowout. Take Jefferson County, for example. Now, this county was a Cornyn plus 16 in their first round. Remember, this is the runoff. So they were Cornyn plus 16 just a few weeks ago. Yesterday, they were Paxton plus 34. Paxton won a Cornyn plus 16 county by 34 points, which means we saw a 50-point shift toward Paxton in the week since their first primary. That, of course, is the power of the one and only Donald J. Trump's endorsement. I like this tweet. The real winner of yesterday's Senate primary was once again none other than Donald J. Trump. Trump's endorsement record continues its perfection streak. He's endorsed 8 governor candidates, and all 8 have won their primaries. He's endorsed 101 House candidates, and all 101 have won their primaries. And as of yesterday, as of 1 minute after their final county finished voting, Ken Paxton became the 9th victory of the 9 U.S. Senate candidates that Trump has endorsed. A 100% primary win on the part of Trump. We have simply never seen a dominance like that before. And both Cornyn and the Republican establishment have just learned the hard way that there is indeed a new sheriff in town. Trump is rewriting the rules of Republican politics, and the establishment has been caught completely off guard. Trump has crushed them every step of the way here. The only way a member of the establishment, like, say, Lindsey Graham, gets Trump's endorsement is if he's voting with Trump 100% of the time.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Trump's rules now. And you get with the game. You recognize who's
Subscribe
boss.
if you haven't already.
General in this war. And if you get it, Trump doesn't care who you are, he'll crown you. If you don't, like Cornyn or Massey or Cassidy or Cheney for that matter, if you don't recognize and acknowledge who's boss, you're out. That's the iron grip that Trump has over this party. By contrast, this was a colossal loss for establishment Republicans. Get this. You want to see the very definition of incompetence? Foolishness? The Republican establishment spent a whopping $90 million desperately trying to save Cornyn's feckless behind. $90 million. Now, keep in mind, this is the Republican establishment spending $90 million not to defeat a Democrat. This is the Republican establishment spending $90 million to defeat a fellow Republican. Who the hell does that? Again, what level of idiocy does a party have to reach in order to even think of spending money that way? Cornyn outspent Paxton 9-1, only to be crushed in a humiliating landslide. As I understand, it was the largest deficit loss for an incumbent senator. 30 million of it came from the Bush wing that still infests the Texas Republican Party. They are absolutely vile. They actually call themselves Texans for a conservative majority. They need to rename themselves Texans for neocon rhino sellouts. Former Governor Rick Perry chairs the Lone Star Freedom Project. They're a dark money group whose donors are undisclosed. They pumped over $17 million into Cornyn's coffers. And then, of course, One Nation, that's the dark money arm of Senate Majority Leader John Thune's political operation. They burned more than $10 million on Cornyn. And keep in mind, this is now the second incumbent senator that John Thune has lost following Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy's humiliating primary defeat just a few weeks back. The Bush wing of the Republican Party, the Romney-Ryan Rove wing, as I like to call them, is dead. They are pouring millions of dollars into a politics that simply does not exist anymore. And by the way, don't ever buy the nonsense out there that now a Paxton victory is going to force the Republicans to spend more money in Texas than they would have had to spend on Cornyn, and that means less money for everyone else in other races. Tell that to the freaking nearly $100 million the Bushwing Rhino neocon scum wasted on Cornyn for a freaking primary against a fellow Republican. Think of all the candidates who could have benefited from that 90 mil wasted on a guy who lost by 30 freaking points. I have never seen a wing of a party so clueless as to why they keep losing. I am absolutely besides myself with neocon rhino establishment figures. Whether it's the Pence wing of the Indiana Republican Party that refused to redistrict, or the Nikki Haley wing of the South Carolina Republican Party that's refusing to redistrict, they are losers in every way imaginable. And if anyone deserved to lose, it was John Cornyn. He has repeatedly voted for amnesty over the years. He was the lead Republican architect of the so-called Safer Communities Act after the Uvalde shooting that was the single most significant gun control legislation in 30 years. He also pushed back against Trump's pick of Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence. He openly threatened not to vote for her. Well, as of yesterday, it was John Cornyn who didn't get the votes. But we saw something else last night, and this, I would argue, this is what's already redefining politics in such a way that goes way beyond Texas. This promises to change our nation like never before. What you're seeing right now isn't just another economic cycle. It's a fundamental shift in how the global system is operating. You got central banks buying gold at record levels, de-dollarization accelerating, and markets reacting to geopolitical instability almost in real time. So the signals are there. People see it. But here's the interesting part. Most haven't actually changed anything. They're still in the same position, still fully exposed to the system. They're watching shift. And that's usually where the mistake happens. Not because people don't understand what's going on, but because they're not just about seeing the shift. It's about whether you actually respond to it. What we saw last night was a very energized Texas GOP. It was the highest turnout runoff in 20 years in Texas. And that energy is the very Trumpian energy that I've been arguing is the new unifying dynamic of the Republican Party. Republican voters want fighters, not obstructionists. I'm sorry, Masseites. I'm sorry. Republican voters want fighters, not I don't care how, quote, principled your obstructions are. Republicans want their party to be the party of fight, fight, fight. It's actually a very classical politics reawakening, the politics of Carl Schmitt, who long ago argued that politics is irreducible to what he called the friend-enemy distinction. He noted that every domain of human activity has its own irreducible criteria. Morality has good versus evil. Aesthetics has beautiful versus ugly. Economics has profitable versus unprofitable. Schmitt argued that politics likewise has its own irreducible criterion, and that criterion is friend versus enemy. Now, to be clear, a political enemy doesn't have to be evil or bad or malignant or anything like that. And it's not even something he's necessarily recommending. Schmitt isn't prescribing the friend-enemy distinction in politics. He's describing it. This is what makes something political. Something becomes political, right? An office dispute, a church split, a business acquisition. Something becomes political when any one of those activities ends up splitting into two or more groups that are antagonistic, adversarial, and hostile towards each other in such a way that if one side wins, the other side loses by definition. If you win, they lose. If they win, you lose. That's politics. That's how politics works. Politics is power, and it is the power to defeat your adversary. Even in compromise, somebody is going to win more than the other. There is no win-win in politics. That's not politics, that's managerialism. It's always a dialectic of friend versus enemy. And for far too long, Republican rhinos like John Cornyn have reached across the aisle on guns and amnesty, immigration, and in Schmittian terms, he in effect depoliticized politics in doing so. He acted more like an administrator or a manager than a politician. And in the process, Cornyn and establishment Republicans, the Romney-Ryan Rove wing of the Republican Party, They have overseen the undeniable degradation and decline of our nation. Their managerialism has allowed the Democrats, the deep state, the unelected managerial state, administrative state, to get away with so much crap that demonstrably made our nation weaker, poorer, and culturally sicker. And Trump came in and said, no more, we're done. We now, the Republican Party, the new Trumpian Republican Party, we are all about making America great again. And that means we are done giving the Democrats an inch. If anything, we are going to take everything away. We are going to see the Democrats implode as a viable national party. Our ultimate goal is to defeat the Democrats totally.
Period. Get them out of here.
We're done with allowing the Democrats to have so much as a...
You got gas prices crashing while the market is soaring. And I'll tell you, that's a good omen. Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Trish Regan. Yes, oil is sinking right now. This is a good thing, okay? This tells us we are getting closer and closer and closer to getting some kind of deal with Iran. There's been a lot of talk about us having to fire off some missiles in self-defense, apparently. There's been a lot of talk of, oh, well, this is never going to get done, never going to get done. Oh, he's going to Camp David. I mean, I've heard it all, right? You just look at the mainstream media, and they'll tell you there's no chance that something's going to happen, and even if it did happen, it's got to be a horrible deal. Well, listen, we're not going to take a horrible deal. Has no one figured this president out by now? They're going to be meeting at Camp David tomorrow. It is all hands on deck. It's a no-fly zone above Camp David, and they're going to be making some pretty big decisions. In Iran, I would just say it's getting down to the wire. And you know what? The markets think Trump is winning. Let's go to Marco Rubio speaking with reporters just a short time ago.
Well, the streets have to be open. They're going to be open one way or the other. So they need to be open. What's happening there is unlawful. It's illegal. It's unsustainable. The world is unacceptable. I don't know of any country in the world that doesn't. The Russians are not in favor of the tolling system. The Chinese are not in favor of the tolling system. And there's no country in the world that's in favor of the tolling system except the regime in Iran. So that's not acceptable. That cannot happen. The streets need to be open, unimpeded, without tolls. And obviously that needs to happen.
In other words, it's pretty simple. The strait needs to be open. There need to be no tolls. And, well, you know, while we're at it, we might as well get them to sign on to the Abraham Accords and maybe even recognize Israel. All right. Maybe that's pushing it. But the president's asking for all of it, okay? He wants it all. And here's how the market's reacting. Okay, so these are gas prices. This is the futures market for gasoline. So this is predicting what gas prices are going to be, say, in June. And what do you see? Oh, they're coming down nearly 6% today. Yeah. Okay, that's a good sign. That means that things are actually improving and these people have money on the line. Down 6% there on gas prices. Again, the media very, very focused on what's next. What is going on with this Camp David thing? Is this a scramble? No, he's just putting something big together, okay? And I think he wants everybody to be part of it. As he said, the president himself put out on Truth Social just a short time ago, he put out a meme saying peace through strength, but also put this out, which is exactly what I was thinking. Because again, what do I do every day? I go through all the news, and I mean all the news. I go through international news, I go through local news, I go through all the liberal and all the conservative news. I'm looking at everything. And what do I see over and over again, except from a few conservative outlets? It's never going to get to first base. And so this is what the president's saying. You know, if, and he's tongue-in-cheek here, Iran surrenders, admits their navy is gone and resting at the bottom of the sea, and the Air Force is no longer with us, and their entire military walks out of Tehran, weapons dropped and hands held high, each shouting, I surrender, while wildly waving the representative white flag. And if their entire remaining dictatorship leadership, he said, signs all necessary documents and surrender, it admits their defeat to the great power and the force of the magnificent USA, the failing New York Times, the China Street Journal. That was a dig at Rupert Murdoch's company there, the Wall Street Journal, corrupt and now irrelevant CNN, and other members of the fake news media will headline that Iran had a masterful and brilliant victory over the United States of America. It wasn't even close. The Democrats and media have totally lost their way. They are absolutely crazy, President DJT. Listen, I mean, they are pretty crazy. And again, I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at all the sound. I'm looking at all the written stuff. It takes me a hefty amount of time to put the show together every day. And I'm looking at everything and I'm like, wow, these people, like, can you just look at the oil markets, guys? Because the oil markets are telling you that the smart money thinks that this is actually going to get over faster than any of you do. For some reason, you want to just attack them. It's like you're rooting against America or something. I don't quite know how to describe it. But the president sent out a couple of memes. Maybe this is what goads them, right? Like, they don't want to see him succeed because he does stuff like this. They have no sense of humor, of course. I do. I found this kind of funny. Obama's Iran policy, pallets of cash. Oh, you know all those pallets of cash, right? Trump's Iran policy, boom, you know, the excursion with a few little strikes there. And he had another one that he put out, and I'm going to go to it in a second because it was also funny over the weekend. This is the headline this weekend in the New York Post. You know, one of the papers getting it right here. No dust, no dollars, they write. That's very true.
Savage, who you talking about as a lesbian? Who's the lesbian? Talking about the lady that's talking right now, Trish Regan?
True, but this was my favorite, okay? Some of you saw this yesterday, but I have to show you again because it shows Obama, and then it shows, if you're listening on audio, thank you for that, but then it shows Iran, effectively, or somebody representing Iran, and it says, I will blow, we're going with stuff here, but it's the other word, stuff up, and then it's Biden saying, let's negotiate.
She's not gay, man. She's not a lesbian. She's married to a guy. Name's James. What are you talking about?
I'll blow stuff up.
Do your research, man. If they come on my chat.
We'll negotiate, right? Because the
I'm glad you're in the chat, Savage, but do your research, man. You just jumping in. You don't know what you're talking about. What's going on?
Alternative is quite bad. We don't have crude quite below $90, so I am going to get that off of the screen. That was earlier in the futures market, so just hovering around $90, I should say, but that is remarkable, okay? Remarkable, just remarkable, guys, because again, as I look at oil prices right now, down about 3% today, this is just really something to see. Over the course of the last week, okay, they've come crashing down nearly 13%. Let me repeat, down nearly 13%.
Oh, the wrong female? Oh, okay. Yeah, this conservative channel here, Common Sense channel. We know what a man and woman is. So I don't know what you're talking about. Welcome to the chat.
So when somebody tells you, oh, this isn't going well and it's going to go on and on and on and on, you say, hey, you know, oil, WTI, it's down 13%. Granted, you know, over the last 3 months, it's been up 44. But again, over the last month, down 0.4%. So the trajectory is exactly what you want to keep an eye on. And this is good news. Again, back to Marco Rubio. He's on the plane returning from India, of course. Or actually, was this one Armenia? He went over there and got some mineral deals. Well, you know, this is an active, busy administration. I've never seen anything like it. Here we go. Back to the Secretary of State, who wears many hats.
Marco.
Well, I think our position is well stated. The president had a very important, I think, historic call just a couple days ago with a number of leaders from the region. I think there's strong alignment and agreement on what a preliminary draft should look like. I think, like anything with something like this, and it's going to take a couple days to settle on, even down to the disagreements over a word, sentence. So we'll have to work through that. If there's going to be a deal, we're going to have to work through that. But this is, it's either going to be a good deal or there isn't going to be one.
You know, I think that's kind of an important thing to think about. It's either going to be a good deal or there's going to be no deal. In other words, we're not going to take something that's half, you know what. We need something solid. And so that means no tolling. I mean, since when did they think they own the waterways? And there's no country in the world that's going to go along with that. You do realize, I mean, even China, who's their buddy, is not going to go along with that. Because international law states no one owns those waterways, so you can't charge us a toll. Forget about that one, Iran. That's wishful thinking. In terms of other things, they've got to clear those mines, obviously, from the strait. They've got to stop tolling everyone, and in exchange for giving up all that nuclear dust, that's sort of the headline. Forgive me for missing that one, but they got to give up all the uranium. In exchange for that, we're going to slowly allow them back into the world economy, which means they're going to be able to sell their oil again. And there's going to be some sanctions relief, i.e., in other words, we're going to lift the blockade so they're going to be able to sell to their targeted customers like China. So we got to keep a tight rein on them. We got to keep a close eye on them, if you would. And this president wants to see this through to fruition. Look, here's the reality. They tell us they had a nuclear bomb. I've seen so many people.
Yeah, $86 million got left in Afghanistan. Joe Biden left behind. And I had said if they left all that much money and equipment behind, they could have sent that to Ukraine. $86 billion of equipment. 86 billion. They could have went to Ukraine, But let's continue.
Well, in the Democrat establishment media today, in fact, saying, well, maybe
Yeah, $86 billion, Savage.
And maybe they were able to do a few little things. We can't allow for them to do a few little things along
And
the
people
way.
died.
There's no enrichment of uranium, period. You combine all of this with this deal with the opportunity to sign the Abraham Accords. Now, Iran doesn't like that, right? They don't want to have anything to do with the Abraham Accords because that means to them surrendering sort of the power in the Middle East to the likes of Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the USA. So they're not going to like that. But the opportunity for them, if they were smart and they were thinking about growing their economy and productivity, is that would be an enormous chance, right? An enormous chance to do good things for their people and for their economy. But don't forget, this is a regime that doesn't care about its people. It cares about power and how it's perceived in the world. So it's willing to put up these crazy fights all in the name of preserving this power. This came up, actually. Marco was getting a little perturbed, shall we say, with the mainstream media while signing some of these deals. Again, he did some mineral rights deals. He was also in India, as you know. And the BBC reporter, who was part of the press gaggle, started pushing him. Really pushing them. And let's just say Marco wasn't having it. It's as though everybody's forgotten that we actually are the good guys. Okay? I'm sorry. We're the good guys. They're the bad guys. They're the ones that killed 30-some-odd-thousand people of their own people this year. Does nobody remember that? Or what about...
Right. Say it again.
Thousands of people they have killed across... Just say Marco wasn't having it. It's as though everybody's forgotten that we actually are the good guys. Okay? I'm sorry. We're the good guys. They're the bad guys. They're the ones that killed 30-some-odd-thousand people of their own people this year. Does nobody remember that? Or what about all the thousands of people they have killed across the globe by feeding these terror organizations? These terror organizations look to Iran as their lifeline. Don't forget, and Marco didn't, about the bombings in Argentina many years ago. They killed so many at the Israeli embassy and then at the community center there. I mean, unacceptable stuff, right? He got right to it. Listen.
Okay. On the other hand, Iran likes to sponsor proxy groups of terrorists, and these terrorists don't care what they blow up. They blow up anything and everyone. Okay. This is who we're dealing with. Okay. This is an Iran that not long ago, through their Hezbollah proxies, blew up a Jewish center in Argentina and killed a bunch of people. This is an Iran that innovated the use of roadside bombs that killed and maimed a bunch of people, including American servicemen, but a bunch of other people. This is an Iran that has organized the assassinations and the attempted assassinations of people all over the world, including civilians and dissidents and people they don't agree with. There is no nation on earth that sponsors more terrorism than Iran. And they've spent millions and millions of dollars sponsoring terrorism and targeting individuals all over the world, and including civilians who have been caught up in that. Okay, that's what Iran has done. They didn't spend their millions and millions on building roads and bridges and improving the life of their people. That's why their people are always in the street protesting, because their economy has been in shambles, because they don't invest in their economy. They would rather invest in Hezbollah. They would rather invest in the rapists and the murderers of Hamas. They would rather invest in those groups than they do in their own people. That's what Iran invests in. And that's what that's what you should be asking me about. That's what the BBC should be covering. And that's what these other media outlets should be covering, is how evil these people are in Iran and the damage they've done to people all over the world. The world's leading sponsor of terrorism is Iran. And look what they're doing now. They are holding hostage civilian vessels, including ships that have now been stuck in the Persian Gulf. They've laid mines in an international waterway. And yet, despite all of that, the United States remains committed to finding a diplomatic solution to this crisis.
Unbelievable. 1992, 1994, those bombings that he was referring to in Argentina. One was on the community center there in 1994, 85 people killed. And then on the Israeli embassy bombing, 240 injured, 29 killed. I mean, just unacceptable. And this is who the mainstream media wants to somehow defend right now. Look, I hear this and I'm like, wait a second, do we even want to do a deal with them? Like, I mean, I know we're on like the third leadership team, but I'm not very happy with the way they conduct themselves. And I think you have to remember at all times, this is, in fact, the enemy, and this is what we are dealing with. This was the reporter's question from the BBC, a guy named Bateman, Tom Bateman, said, Mr. Secretary, there's a lot of attention at this moment being on how this war began, because, right, everybody's blaming the US of A and blaming Israel, instead of saying, wait a second, we got some bad guys here that have the ability to enrich uranium. They were bragging about their 60% right there on MSNBC. Well, we don't mean to brag, was their actual direct quote, but we do have it. Okay, so you got it. And that meant you were a couple of weeks away from getting a nuclear weapon. And yet this BBC reporter can only think about, oh gosh, what did we do? How did we get here? Why are we in this war? And saying that, there was that Saturday in Iran in the morning when millions of children were at school. And we found out that from some media analysis, 22 schools were damaged in the following weeks. Can you tell us, what about this administration's quote, unleashing a reckless action because of when this war was begun? And Marco's like, people, come on.
Well, let's be clear who we're talking about here. We're not talking about some pacifist government over there, some pacifist regime. We're talking about one of the most vicious regimes on the face of the earth and in modern history. That's what we're dealing with. And we were going to take away their missiles, we were going to take away their ability to make new ones, and we were going to wipe out their Navy. Imagine if they had a real Navy. What they have now is a bunch of small little speedboats that can lay mines and harass vessels, but they used to have a Navy. Now that Navy resides at the bottom of the ocean. And that was the objective of Epic Fury. As far as the question...
Yeah. I admire his patience that he has, because I don't think I'd be so patient. I really don't.
Iran likes to sponsor proxy groups of terrorists. And these terrorists don't care what they blow up. They blow up anything and everyone. Okay, this is who we're dealing with. Okay, this is an Iran that not long ago, through their Hezbollah proxies, blew up a Jewish center in Argentina and killed a bunch of people. This is an Iran that innovated the use of roadside bombs that killed and maimed a bunch of people, including American servicemen, but a bunch of other people. This is an Iran that has organized the assassinations and the attempted assassinations of people all over the world, including civilians and dissidents and people they don't agree with. There is no nation on earth that sponsors more terrorism than Iran. And they've spent millions and millions of dollars sponsoring terrorism and targeting individuals all over the world, and including civilians have been caught up in that. Okay, that's what Iran has done. They didn't spend their millions and millions on building roads and bridges and improving the life of their people. That's why their people are always in the street protesting, because their economy has been in shambles, because they don't invest in their economy. They would rather invest in Hezbollah. They would rather invest in the rapists and the murderers of Hamas. They would rather invest in those groups than they do in their own people. That's what Iran invests in. And that's what that's what you should be asking me about. That's what the BBC should be covering. And that's what these other media outlets should be covering, is how evil these people are in Iran and the damage they've done to people all over the world. The world's leading sponsor of terrorism is Iran. And look what they're doing now. They are holding hostage civilian vessels, including ships that have now been stuck in the Persian Gulf. They've laid mines in an international waterway. And yet, despite all of that, the United States remains committed to finding a peaceful, a diplomatic solution to this crisis.
Unbelievable. 1992, 1994, those bombings that he was referring to in Argentina. One was on the community center there in 1994, 85 people killed. And then on the Israeli embassy bombing, 240 injured, 29 killed. I mean, just unacceptable. And this is who the mainstream media wants to somehow defend right now. Look, I hear this and I'm like, wait a second, do we even want to do a deal with them? Like, I mean, I know we're on like the third leadership team, but I'm not very happy with the way they conduct themselves. And I think you have to remember at all times, this is, in fact, the enemy, and this is what we are dealing with. This was the reporter's question from the BBC, a guy named Bateman, Tom Bateman, said, Mr. Secretary, there's a lot of attention at this moment being on how this war began, because, right, everybody's blaming the US of A and blaming Israel, instead of saying, wait a second, we got some bad guys here that have the ability to enrich uranium. They were bragging about their 60% right there on MSNBC. Well, we don't mean to brag, was their actual direct quote, but we do have it. Okay, so you got it. And that meant you were a couple of weeks away from getting a nuclear weapon. And yet this BBC reporter can only think about, oh gosh, what did we do? How did we get here? Why are we in this war? And saying that, there was that Saturday in Iran in the morning when millions of children were at school. And we found out that from some media analysis, 22 schools were damaged in the following weeks. Can you tell us, what about this administration's, quote, unleashing a reckless action because of when this war was begun? And Marco's like, people, come on.
Well, let's be clear who we're talking about here. We're not talking about some pacifist government over there, some pacifist regime. We're talking about one of the most vicious regimes on the face of the earth and in modern history. That's what we're dealing with. And we were going to take away their missiles. We were going to take away their ability to make new ones. And we were going to wipe out their Navy. Imagine if they had a real Navy. What they have now is a bunch of small little speedboats that can lay mines and harass vessels. But they used to have a Navy. Now that Navy resides at the bottom of the ocean. And that was the objective of Epic Fury.
Mr. Rig, what's up?
As far as the question.
I admire his patience that he has, because I don't think I'd be so patient. I really don't. It's not that hard, guys, but whatever. They're the media. They're going to ask questions. And don't get me wrong. I mean, it's actually very important that we all be able to challenge the administration, any administration, and that's central to what we do. But it's just sometimes you really kind of question whose side they're on. And it should be ours. Pretty obvious. It should be ours. I want to point out again, the markets did really well today. We had the Dow slightly, basically trading flat. But if you look overall, I'm telling you, this tells you what you need to know about how the world is thinking about all this. I mean, you have oil down, and you've got the NASDAQ up 1.2%. I mean, guys, what more do you want, for goodness sakes, huh?
It's time for Lefties Losing It. Let's see what the ladies of The View are up to. They're attacking a young athlete, Jackson Dart, because he supports the US president. This may be entirely predictable, but it is nevertheless pathetic. Let's start with Joy Behar, who calls the New York Giants quarterback stupid and racist. I do hope he sues her.
For somebody to back a guy like Trump, whose history in discrimination and racism goes back to housing discrimination.
In the 70s.
In the 70s, DEI attacks, and posting pictures of the Obamas as apes. When he's on a team that's 55% to 60% the NFL, is that many people, that much percentage of black people, black guy, that is just the definition of stupidity and racist.
Not to be outdone, we had Sunny Hostin taking Dart's support of the president very personally indeed. Do these simpletons realise Donald Trump won the popular vote? This isn't some fringe view. And in fact, Donald Trump enjoyed more support from black voters than any Republican candidate in around 50 years.
I think when you know the history of this president and you know the biases of this president, for a certain community, the black community, for me, this feels personal. And I think if you are someone who attacks the community to which I belong, and you support that tells me two things. Either one, you agree with his politics and you agree with his biases, or you can be adjacent to it, stomach it, and that means you are complicit in my view.
Yeah, there's a whole Congress.
Here we go clapping.
Have Whoopi missing out on this hate fest. She was eager to remind Jackson Dart that his actions will have consequences.
We have to remember that his right to learn about consequences, because I think he's very young and maybe doesn't realize that there are consequences to these things.
Now, let's have a look at what has triggered this pitiful meltdown from the ladies of The View. It was these 15 seconds.
What an honor, what a privilege it is to be here. And without further ado, I'm grateful, I'm honored, I'm pleasured to introduce the 45th and 47th President of the United States of America, President Donald J. Trump.
Now, we are told that the Democrats have a real shot in Texas, that their candidate, James Tellerico, is leading the polls. I don't think so. Do you really think this weirdo is going to be elected by Texans?
The Democrats have a weird candidate.
God is non-binary.
What the?
Are many more than two biological sexes. In fact, there are 6. It is
Why is he
now
wearing a mask?
existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption. The American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us. Prophetic voices like Jesus have helped me reckon with my own whiteness, my own masculinity. Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front. No need to sit and cry over, your whiteness or your masculinity. They're going to call me a radical leftist.
Something that you love that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children.
The Democrats have a weird.
What the hell? Check that man hard drive.
A weird candidate.
Low T Tellerico, 2 weeks from Texas.
And it begins. The socialist, heck, let's call him what he is, the communist mayor of New York City, Zoran Mamdani, has started talking about seizing people's property. Yes, taking people's property and transferring ownership to tenants.
That is crazy. He's my God is non-binary. And Jesus and about his whiteness. Jesus don't care about your whiteness back then. What is he talking about? Yeah, he's not going to win. I'm surprised he even get this far. But Texas going to stay red. Yes.
Or what he calls responsible stewards. You voted for this, New York, you reckless nincompoops.
When necessary, we will take aggressive legal action to remove negligent owners and property managers. And for buildings that have suffered chronic neglect, we will work to transfer ownership to responsible stewards. Stewards that include community land trusts, nonprofits, or even the tenants themselves.
You know what I just thought about, Chad? It's funny. How come nobody argue with iPhone about their phone prices being too high? Or any other company. You know what I'm saying? Everybody out here buying these Jordans, highest prices, buy all these cell phone highest prices. Ain't nobody boycotting it. Not one person boycott Apple about their prices. Or Nintendo or PlayStation. That's crazy.
Let's bring in Center for the American Experiment president and co-founder of the popular Powerline blog, John Hinderaker. John, seizing properties and transferring ownership, I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, Mamdani says that he wants to take legal action to remove negligent property owners. I have no idea what that means. But what Mamdani won't acknowledge is that if a rental property is run down, it's probably on account of the people who live there. And if the landlord has trouble keeping up with maintenance, it's probably because the building doesn't generate enough revenue. And that may be due to the fact that in New York City, it can take over a year to evict someone after he stops paying rent. So Mamdani can get votes maybe by demonizing landlords, but it's not going to solve the problem.
And if you have landlords exiting the market, selling their properties, then the rental pool decreases, rents go up further. I mean, this is simple economics 101, John. What's he not understanding here?
I don't know, Rita. I mean, New York City has dabbled in rent control, really more than dabbled. They had rent control for a long time. They've tried all kinds of failed methods to address the fact that there's an imbalance of supply and demand. There's a lot of people who want to live in Manhattan and not enough housing units. But demonizing landlords is not going to get you more housing units.
Absolutely not. And you see some of the astronomical rents people pay in Manhattan for a shoebox, a fairly unpleasant shoebox, some of these ones. And you can see why that market exists the way it does. When you impact supply, well, you're going to push up prices. Now, let's hear an important update on the White House task force to eliminate fraud. They're having quick time uncovered an astronomical amount of fraud. Here is Stephen Miller.
This is the fastest in history that a government task force has traveled from creation to action. Your typical lead time is going to be a year of meetings before anything happens, and that's if you're lucky. And within weeks of this task force being established, we've seen the largest ever slate of indictments, recovered funds, search warrants, raids, seizures, investigations, and new legal actions to stop, disrupt, and prevent fraud.
John, your home state of Minnesota has been in the midst of a systematic fraud crisis. How widespread is this problem in America?
Well, it certainly is widespread in Minnesota, Rita. Just last week, our U.S. Attorney's Office announced 15 new fraud prosecutions covering a number of programs under the Medicaid umbrella. But it's elsewhere in the United States as well. Now people in California and Ohio, which are much larger states than Minnesota, are also reporting that they're finding a lot of fraud. So it appears to be very widespread all across the country.
Now, Stephen Miller said the fraud is so bad that they could balance the federal budget if they could manage to eliminate the current levels of fraud. And he said something very interesting, John, about the limits of the honor system.
Welfare benefits were set up based on the honor system. They're set up based on the idea that you could trust the average person through their own morality to abide by the rules and comply with the law. So the way most welfare works in most states and most places is we take your word for it. If you fill out a piece of paper and you say your kids are hungry, you are going to get food stamps. We don't check as a country if you even have kids. The fact is basic as that. We don't even check if you even have children. You will just start getting the checks. And so what's happened to our country is we became a society, as we've seen with the Somali refugee problem in Minnesota, where you have a large number of people that are not following the honor system. They're not playing by the rules. They're not abiding by our laws. And the amount that has been fleeced from us is in the hundreds of billions of dollars. I believe, based on what I've seen and what I've heard, is that we could balance the federal budget if the only dollars that went out of the Treasury went to individuals who were properly, lawfully, correctly eligible to receive them.
John, the VP, J.D. Vance, was also there, and he said that in just 2 months, they have uncovered billions of dollars in fraud.
Well, what Stephen Miller says is correct. We have basically had an honor system. You know, my state used to be a really high trust society, and then we imported a lot of low trust people. And frankly, that was the genesis of the problem. And I think we're seeing something similar across the country. Rita, one thing that's worth pointing out is that J.D. Vance had this summit, at the White House, I believe. He invited all of the attorneys general from the 50 states to come and participate in this fraud effort. And not a single Democratic attorney general showed up. Every single one of them boycotted the event. So it's a big problem when we've got one party that is really not interested in combating fraud.
No, I think they kind of like it because they can see it benefits a new voter base that they're trying to ensure secures them power. And then that's why possibly you see so much of this fraud concentrated in those blue states. Now, before I get to some incredible footage of RFK Jr. and a couple of snakes, let's talk geopolitics. The Trump administration is nearing a deal with the Iranian regime. It is said to be 95% done. And according to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, it has to be good for the US or they won't do it.
And it's going to take a couple days to settle on even down to the disagreements over a word, sentence. So we'll have to work through that. If there's going to be a deal, we're going to have to work through that. But this is, it's either going to be a good deal or there isn't going to be one.
That was Marco Rubio earlier today, and the Iranian regime has responded with a statement from the supreme leader, supposedly, saying America will no longer have a safe place for aggression and military bases in the region, John.
Yeah, we're getting very different signals from the Trump administration and from the regime in Iran. Rita, all I can say is I've got my fingers crossed. Everybody knows that any promise of future performance on anything from this Iranian regime is meaningless. About all we can really get in an agreement is to promptly reopen the Strait of Hormuz and give us what Trump calls the nuclear dust. The regime has been stalling for over a month now, and I'm frankly skeptical that a meaningful deal can be struck. And I think we may find ourselves in a position of hitting any remaining targets and punishing the regime if they don't immediately open the Strait of Hormuz and then take the bulk of our forces home.
How much of a factor is this conflict in domestic politics right now? Has some of that noise quietened down, some of that panic that we saw a couple of months ago, or is the Trump administration still desperate to really put this conflict behind them as they go into the midterms?
It's a big problem, Rita. You know, the American people, generally speaking, don't care very much about foreign policy. What most voters care about here is the price of gasoline. The price of gasoline has spiked. That is a big, big problem for the midterm elections. And even though he would never admit it, I'm sure that President Trump does feel under a lot of pressure to get the strait open and get the price of gasoline coming back down.
Now, I played in Lefties at Losing It tonight, a fantastic new ad by the Lone Star Liberty PAC highlighting just how weird Democrat James Tallarico is. Here's just 10 seconds of the ad.
God is non-binary. There are many more than two biological sexes. In fact, there are 6. It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat
Check his hard drive.
But John, I've seen polls in the past month saying this character is leading the Republican candidates. How can that be? Is this weirdo any chance of being elected by Texans in the midterms?
Well, Republicans have a problem because Ken Paxton, the Texas Attorney General, has challenged incumbent Senator John Cornyn in the primary. That primary was today, and it looks like Paxton has won. So there's a lot of disunity among the Republicans. But Rita, we've seen this before. Democrats like Beto O'Rourke would do well in early polling, and the Democrats would get their hopes up, and then on election day, they would get crushed. I think that despite the turmoil on the Republican side, there is no chance that a candidate as bad as Tallarico can win in Texas. He's running against meat in Texas. I mean, there's no way that is a winning platform.
He's running against the consumption of meat. He's running against pretty much God, saying God is non-binary. He's running against biological reality. He claims there are at least 6 genders. I mean, he is an absolute Fruit Loop, the guy. I can't believe Democrats keep coming up with these candidates in red states. Now, I would ask about a piece you wrote for the excellent Powerline blog about people leaving blue states in droves, heading to the red states like Texas, Florida, Tennessee, in part because of lower taxes. But John, you argue that's only half the story.
Yeah, that's right, Rita. Of course, lower taxes are a factor. But in addition, what may be more important is that the red states are where most of the good jobs are being created. And an analysis just came out that shows that personal income is growing 50% faster in red states than in blue states, and that's before taxes. So I think the exodus from blue to red is going to continue for the foreseeable future.
Now, I've been waiting to play this footage to get your reaction. Let's have a look at some astonishing footage, really. Here is Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. at Dr. Oz's house, naturally, just casually wrangling a couple of snakes that are furiously biting him. And as you watch this, listen out for actress Cheryl Hines, RFK's wife, who is clearly freaking out.
So what are they? Are they fighting?
Honey, let's go. Oh my God.
Jesus, the mouths are huge.
I've got to say, I have a lot of sympathy for Cheryl there. You could hear her saying, Bobby, please, oh my God. But the man is fearless. I just can't believe we've got these individuals leading the country. I love it.
Rita, it scares me just to watch that video clip. I mean, people knock my state because it gets really cold in the winter and everything ices over. But at least we don't have to worry about being bitten by snakes on our patio. I mean, I take my hat off to RFK Jr., but I would not want to be in that position.
I tell you, he was fearless. He was very happy to go in there. And I think those snakes were either having sex or fighting. That hasn't been established, but that's probably why they were so angry and biting him. He's an honorary Australian, I think, after that performance. John Heinderreker, thank you so much for your time. Now, Russell Crowe has gone viral after he was filmed launching a furious tirade at a crowd clamouring for his autograph. Have a look.
Stay where you are.
Damn!
Everybody stay. Somebody's in. Go. Go me. Yes. Clear? Yes, sir.
Well, Russell Crowe has responded to criticism about that incident, saying on X, clickbait, everybody got their autograph and selfie. The passage to the hotel was kept free for guests, and I still got to the airport on time. One man, no security, handled. What's your problem? Joining me now is broadcaster and Sky News contributor Dee Dunleavy. Dee, I've got to say, that sounds fair enough. It was good enough to sign autographs for his fans, which is more than can be said for a lot of stars these days.
Yes, absolutely. And as advertised, Russell Crowe, he's a tough guy. And if you're lining up, you know Pollyanna's not coming out. I thought he was very fair. He still signed all the autographs. And there's this argument that, oh, they're your bread and butter, they're your fans, they're lining your pockets. That is true. But they're choosing to pay money to go and see his movies.
Yeah.
He doesn't make them do that. He didn't make them line up outside. He's been very civil and cordial and gave them all their autographs. And we know that a lot of these people that line up for autographs, they're not genuine fans. Genuine fans want a selfie so they can show their friends, look, I met Russell Crowe. The autograph hunters are going to sell that stuff on eBay. But personally, I've always been mystified as to why anyone wants an autograph anyway.
It's so old school.
It's a bit of scribble. What's the point?
It's old school. You know what? He's calmed down because I remember the days when he was throwing phones in hotel lobbies.
Yes.
So this is a vast improvement. Now, we spoke a little yesterday about some of the bombshell claims in royal author Andrew Lowney's new book about the former Prince Andrew and his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson. In the book, Lowney alleges that after Ferguson and Andrew were evicted from Royal Lodge, she went chaotic with her money habits, even using her daughter Beatrice's credit card. Dee Lowney also writes about Andrew's infamous collection of teddy bears, saying Andrew made a royal valet fly all the way back to Asia from the UK because Andrew had left one of these teddy bears behind. Obviously, he travels with these stuffed toys.
Yes.
I mean, this is just weird.
It's bad enough that we're told by Andrew Lowney that the maids were in charge of organising his teddies wherever he was living, Sandringham Estate, and now we find out that he travels with them as well. It kind of sums.
I wouldn't let my son travel with a
Walked on stage and introduced Donald Trump. And apparently, half of sports media now needs a group therapy session.
I'm grateful, I'm honored, I'm pleasured to introduce the 45th and 47th President of the United States of America, President Donald J. Trump.
USA. USA. USA.
Yep. Now, that's a whole crime scene right there. A football player introduced the president. He didn't curse nobody out. He didn't threaten anybody. He didn't make the Giants change their playbook to Project 2025. He didn't do none of that. He stood at a podium, hyped up Big Blue, and introduced Trump. But because it was Trump, they treated it like he fumbled democracy at the 1 yard line.
Good one.
And this is where the reaction tells you more than the act, because if he introduced Obama, they'd be calling it inspiring. If he introduced Biden, they'd be calling it civic courage. But Trump, everybody suddenly becomes a workplace ethics professor with a whistle around their neck. And if you wasted no time turning a political opinion into character assassination, essentially.
But some people were not happy with Dart's open political endorsement. I mean, isn't he entitled to his...
It's America.
I mean, he's entitled to his thing.
For somebody to back a guy like Trump, whose history of discrimination and racism goes back to housing discrimination.
In the 70s.
In the 70s, DEI attacks, and posting pictures of the Obamas as apes. When he's on a team that's 55% to 60% the NFL, is that many people, that much percentage of black people, black guy. That is just the definition of stupidity and racist, in my opinion.
And the people on the field, having been on teams, the whole point is we're in this together. And it's kind of got that foxhole mentality of we're out there, we're playing together. To not, even if that is what you believe, which I...
A tiny spoon for iced coffee videos and a 40-pack of reusable grocery bags they keep forgetting at home. America is the only country where a liberal will stand in a $3,000 apartment with Edison bulbs, fake plants, and a Save the Planet sticker on the fridge while the AC is fighting for its damn life at 64 degrees because heat anxiety is real. These people will tell you corporations are evil while personally financing Amazon's entire quarterly earnings because they need a mushroom cup, Korean skincare, a tiny spoon for iced coffee videos, and a 40-pack of reusable grocery bags they keep forgetting at home. And every single crisis is literally Handmaid's Tale. Gas went up 12 cents, democracy is over. Someone said Merry Christmas at Target? Fascism has arrived. And these mofos can detect offensive language from 700 yards away, but somehow can't detect sarcasm if it's slapped them in the face with a folding chair. They like to post normalized kindness, then spend 6 straight hours calling strangers Nazis because somebody on Facebook said boneless wings are not real wings. They say America is horrible but lose their mind if Starbucks closes 20 minutes early. They can't survive with things like Wi-Fi or iced coffee, therapy, emotional support, water bottles, and a phone charger longer than a CVS receipt. Meanwhile, they hate capitalism, but every single hobby costs money. Their vinyl records, organic candles, thrifted clothes that somehow cost more than new clothes, and artisanal bread that looks like it survived a house fire. These people are the same people who say, tax the rich, while making $42,000 a year and ordering a $31 avocado toast through DoorDash because self-care matters. And every argument online ends the same way. I'm literally shaking right now. No, you're not, Jessica. You type that while sitting cross-legged in pajamas watching Netflix, true crime documentaries, and eating frozen Trader Joe's orange chicken. Meanwhile, normal Americans just trying to mow the lawn and pay rent and watch football or grill something unnecessarily large and survive one family gathering without hearing the phrase late-stage capitalism. But that's our modern America, 55% outrage, 30% caffeine addiction, 10% fast food, and 5% arguing with strangers named Patriot Dad, 1776 at 1:14 in the morning.
I let anyone, that's the beauty of America. It's the most liberal belief that we can all have our own belief. I get that. But there would be consequences. You're the quarterback, which is a central player on that field.
The leader.
A leader. And the majority, it's actually 75% of New York Giants and the NFL as a whole are black or non-white.
Yeah.
To not think about the most recent offenses from the video to these voting rights things, which even people that aren't that dialed in are recognizing, wait, are you now just going to marginalize and completely disenfranchise? To have thought about how that might feel to your team, the ones that are on the field with you, I would have handled it differently.
Maybe he needs a little extra padding.
Well, maybe. You know, I don't know. I know what happens when people get all over me. When I say something that people don't like. Yeah. It's like, why don't you think about it? I do think about you. And, you know, this is something he's going to have to deal with and his teammates are going to have to deal with.
So Joy basically said he has a right to his own opinion. Now, let me explain why his opinion makes him look stupid and racist. That's not tolerance, y'all. That's a velvet rope with a trapdoor underneath it. And then the extra padding line, right? Come on. You can just like the man's politics without sounding like you're previewing a blitz package from hell. This is what's wild. They keep saying the quarterback has to think about the locker room. Cool, but who's thinking about the quarterback? Who's saying maybe this young man should be allowed to have a political view without being spiritually strip-searched on daytime TV? They don't want unity. They want emotional compliance. And I believe it's Tiki Barber, is how you say his name, who actually played in that world, said the thing the studio class forgot.
I mean, this is just a symptom of where our country is, and it is sports talk radio on steroids, the political world that we live in. And there is no discourse. There isn't a lot of, I see your side of the story. It's my way or no way, my side, your side. It's bipolar. It's frustrating, to be honest with you, because that's not how it used to be. It didn't. I remember when I was playing, I met both sides of the political aisle. Met President Bush, as I told you about. My ex-wife used to dress Bill Clinton, and it just felt like it wasn't as big of a deal as it is now. It's a spectator sport. The political arena, and when someone steps into it, you immediately become hated for your opinion one way or the other. And it's unfortunate because that's not what politics is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be, a zero-sum game. And I think it's typical of why our country is in the state that it is right now.
Is there any issue in the locker room?
No, not at all.
Do you think Abdul Carter made a mistake addressing it?
No, it's the social media world. You do it. Trust me, people have said worse about Jackson Dart on social media.
That's true.
So I know people want to make this a big deal and say, oh, Abdul Carter was wrong or Jackson Dart was wrong. No, you weren't. You're just a kid living your life. And get over it.
Now, this is the cleanest point in this whole debate. I believe Tiki is his name. He didn't overcook it. He said, I met Bush, I met Clinton. It wasn't a blood feud. They used to be normal. Athletes could meet politicians, shake hands, take pictures, and go back to work. Now, one photo turns into a full psychological autopsy. And the funniest part is the people screaming locker room division are usually the ones pouring gasoline through the vents. Two young players can disagree and still chase the same quarterback on a Sunday. That's called being adults, being grown. It's called having a job. It's called not letting Twitter raise you. But then Jamel Hill took it right back to the racial permission slip.
Politics have always mixed. I mean, they've mixed since the days of George Washington. What changed about this narrative of sports and politics not belonging together is when, frankly, black athletes started to show more agency and started to speak more about some of the conditions that people in their community were facing, or even some of the experiences that they had. That's when it became, oh no, don't mix sports and politics. In this particular case, this was an unforced error by Jackson Dart. Again, Donald Trump is historically unpopular. You are the quarterback of the New York Giants. What was the point? What is the upside in appearing at this rally? Now, he has a right to support whoever he wants, But Abdul Carter has a right to criticize his support of that. And a lot of athletes, partly what makes them hesitant about talking about their political beliefs is that they don't want the blowback and they don't want the resistance and how people might feel about it. So yeah, his teammate, who is a Muslim, who is a black man in America, had every right to question him about what that support means, especially when you are considered to be the face of the organization and the sort of default leader of the entire team.
So now the argument is, because a lot of NFL players are black, Jackson Dart should have known better than to support Donald Trump publicly. Think about how insulting that is to everybody involved. It treats black teammates like they're too fragile to work with a man who votes differently. It treats black Americans like political homeowners association. It treats Jackson Dart like his freedom of thought has to be approved by the demographic chart in the locker room. That's not respect. That's bigotry with a press badge. And the trick is always the same. What is going on with my nose, right? Some feel like it's on my nose, but it's not. But like I said, the trick is always the same. They say politics belongs in sports when the message leans that way. The second somebody steps outside their approved script, suddenly it's bad for the team. No, it's not bad for the team. It's bad for the, the control of the team's image. And Davari, he caught that dead center.
See, the argument against Jackson Dart isn't that he's wrong. It's that most of his teammates on the New York Giants are black. So he's wrong for introducing President Trump because President Trump, in their eyes, is a racist. That's how convoluted their criticism is here. It's astounding. Now, I want you to sit with that for a second. The claim is that a grown man's political choices should be dictated by the racial makeup of the people he works with. You just can't make it up. Are you paying attention to what's happening here? They keep saying that everyone's entitled to their opinion, right before explaining why this 23-year-old quarterback and his opinion makes him racist. Imagine that. That's how they do it. Here's the thing about this. Steve Kerr, Greg Popovich, even Stephen Curry at times has called out the president during press conferences that have nothing to do with politics. I'm only tuning in for sports, but they have no smoke for them. Clear double standard and selective outrage here. That's all it is. It's a lack of consistency. If you don't like it when people on the right do it, you should call it out when people on the left do it. But that doesn't happen in the United States of America because tribalism is leading what they're saying. That's behind all of the rhetoric.
Yep. That right there is the whole steak. No garnish. You see, the issue is never just Jackson Dart. The issue is they believe certain groups must think in one approved direction. And if you don't, they don't debate you. They diagnose you. They call you racist and confused, dangerous, selfish, and divisive. Anything except independent. And for Black Americans watching this, the deeper insult is pretty obvious. They keep using Black people as the moral furniture in arguments they've already decided before we walked in a room. His teammates are Black. The league is Black. Black players might feel this. Okay. But did anyone ask Black people if we want to be used as the emergency alarm every time someone supports Trump? Because, a lot of us are tired of being dragged into political arguments like rented props. And that brings us to the bigger problem. When the political machine wants athletes to sacrifice for a cause, guess who it always starts with? Yes.
These Black districts don't represent Black representation. These Black districts represented Black plantation management. The purpose of this video is to highlight how utterly ridiculous you are. It's also to highlight how utterly hypocritical you are, and to highlight how utterly distasteful and shameful you are. To ask young Black men who, to truth be told, academically, this is their only way out. You claim to be for the advancement of Black people, but those who have worked hard, not based on DEI, because sports doesn't do DEI. You have to be the best of the best to get recruited into the SEC. You want them to disavow all of the hard work and tenacity and structure and discipline that they've subjected themselves to based on their merit. You want them to disavow that for your hopeless, anti-American, anti-Black Marxist cause. Y'all are some low-down, dirty snakes. And I hope and pray that every young person who may have thought that the NAACP was about something, I hope that this video spreads far and wide and they are able to see that y'all are the scum of the earth. You are a piece of trash because you know, and I know all of us know, that you cannot protest your way out of a Supreme Court decision. The decision has been made. The High Court of the nation has spoken. Broken up, and the segregation that you are advocating for can be no longer.
This clip is sharp because it connects the same sickness. Whether it's Jackson Dart being told his politics are unacceptable because of Black teammates or Black athletes being pressured to boycott opportunities they work for their whole lives. The theme is ownership. They don't see athletes as people first. They see them as leverage. Your scholarship becomes leverage. Your locker room becomes leverage. Your skin color becomes leverage. Your silence, your opinion becomes leverage. And the minute you stop being useful to the machine, they start calling you brave and start calling you a problem. That's why this Jackson Dart story matters. Not because every athlete needs to support Trump. No. Support whoever you want. That's the point. But if politics and sports is only noble when athletes when it's not even athlete, when it attacks one side, then it was never about justice. It was about who gets to hold the microphone.
That's crazy, you guys.
Good day, folks, and welcome to another edition of and falling by 25 plus points is a fluke. You are not paying attention. So I am going to show you the list of shame. Every single Liberty score senator sitting in a deep red state who is officially on notice. We're going to walk through the states where a strong MAGA candidate doesn't just compete, they win. Stay with me because by the end of this stream, you'll know exactly where the next primary earthquake is hitting, where it should be. Even the establishment media was freaking out last night. They know that the old guard is dead. The biggest loser last night was John Thune, folks. So watch this moment where NBC's Stephen Kornacki was visibly shocked.
Again, this was one of the best. I just said Tarrant was one of the best corn counties in the area.
Appreciate that, Brian. Thank you for that. Appreciate that, everybody in the chat. Appreciate all of you guys. Yep, appreciate it. Thank you.
This county was even better, okay, for Cornyn. Cornyn beat Paxton here solidly in the preliminary. But again, looking at the early vote right here, Paxton's absolutely trouncing him. Right away, this thing just, we've got quite a bit of clarity here.
Watch
immediately. This. I mean, how's that for a record time? In about 2 minutes.
Thank you, Brian.
This thing just clarified in a massive way. We're going to start to watch these fill in. A lot of what you're seeing here, there's 254 counties in the state. A lot of these are smaller, although Kendall County, again, this is fast growing right outside
Texas.
San Antonio here. And again, you see Paxton. Now, Paxton had done well here in the preliminary. Paxton had beaten Cornyn by a small amount here in the preliminary. And again, that's just exploded. 64-36, the early vote. And again, supposed to be the Cornyn friendly vote. We're seeing this everywhere. We're seeing Williamson
Look at
County.
him, so shocked.
Look at this. Oh, goodness. If you are Paxton,
you are joyous with what you're seeing right now. If you're Cornyn, you are not. Williamson County, again, this was one of Cornyn's. We've seen 3 of Cornyn's best from the preliminary, and he's getting clobbered in the early vote. Okay?
This is so great.
Tarrant, Williamson, these were about as good as it got for John Cornyn in the preliminary, getting absolutely clobbered. 10% of the vote is now in. Let me let this fill in as I speak here.
Folks, this is so beautiful. I hope to God you can understand how absolutely beautiful this is. I seriously, I want to ask the question. Rebecca's watching the chat over there. Do you identify as John Cornyn? Folks, this thought's going around out there. Do we have that Van Jones clip next, or where are we at here, Rebecca? What's the next one? Oh, Seth Keshel. All right. So this is actually really a good post to bring in to talk about this. Let's look at this. So this from Seth Keshel. If you don't know Seth Keshel, election integrity warrior. I like Seth. I've met and talked with him, been to some of his events. But it says here, Paxton won't become AG.
To me, I don't care about color either. I grew up in a diverse community up in the west side of Chicago, and now I live in Rockford. So it's crazy how the neighborhood I live in is a very diverse neighborhood, very quiet, very clean. So on one hand, I have my left side is my black neighbors, on my right side is my white neighbors. For some odd reason, you would think the black neighbors are interact more than the white. But the crazy thing about it is I interact with my white neighbors more. I've been kayaking with my white neighbors. We done barbecued and we didn't share food. I didn't drove their car a few times. It's like, no problem. The black community, the black family, we do speak to each other, say hello, but as far as like going to each other's houses and kicking it, I'm more with the white family kicking it. I didn't ask to be that way. We didn't ask to do it. Just how it is. And that's crazy. So I don't get how this stuff is racist and all that, but I guess you could say that my own people race against us because I don't know, buddy. I tried to introduce myself to him, and he was an asshole about it. I'm like, what the hell? I just said, hello, how you doing? And why we going kicking the barbecue? And then for me, it's been a year and 2 months now, so I don't drink no more. I never was an alcoholic, but I did drink. But it's been a year, 2 months, no alcohol, not going back. I'm 43. But yeah, it's just crazy how I kick with more of my white neighbors than my black neighbors, period. Just want to share that with y'all. Let's continue. I love everybody. I don't care what you are, period. Love yourself. Love God. Love Jesus. Let's go.
Paxton won't be reelected. Paxton won't survive primary by the Bush dynasty. Paxton won't be reelected again. See, you guys have to understand, the Bushies tried to take out Paxton. Okay, for those who don't understand Texas politics, this happened, okay? Excuse me. Paxton won't survive impeachment. Yeah, his own party. I mean, people, if you don't understand Texas politics.
We'll definitely have some coffee on the real. Not a problem at all. I like that dark roast coffee kind.
Politics, one of the worst things going on down there is that the quote-unquote Republican Senate leader down there works with the Dems. I mean, the whole thing is just so screwed up. And we're seeing this consistently throughout red states. Democrats know that they cannot run as Democrats in red states. What they do is they run as Republicans. Remember the video
It don't got to be Starbucks coffee either. You know, it don't matter.
Did about years ago with that landmark consulting group down in Georgia that was actually running known Democrats as Republicans. Okay, because these consulting groups, they just want some money. They don't. Oh, folks, this politics is such a dirty business. Do y'all get it yet? I mean, y'all understand just how dirty this is? By the way, I didn't ask it, but please do smash that like. Do chat in with where you're from. Let's get this stream out there, but let's keep going. Paxton won't run for Senate. Paxton won't beat Cornyn. Paxton won't get Trump's endorsement. Paxton won't beat Cornyn more than 5. Paxton won't beat Cornyn by more than 25. You are here. What's coming next is Paxton won't beat Tallarico. Paxton won't beat Tallarico by 10. The Senate won't seat Paxton. Folks, they are wrong about absolutely everything. And there is a consistent theme that we see pop up all the time, and that is every time one of these totally weak, feckless rhinos who the left hated before the election, all of a sudden fall in love with after the election. Listen to Van Jones. This will tell you that we have made the right decision in Texas.
This is a bad night for America. You have a good man running against a bad man, and the bad man won. And just as a parent, that's tough. I mean,
so all of a sudden, Cornyn's a good man. Before, they would have told you he was trash, but now he's a good man, folks. He's a good man. I mean, and a bad man. Oh,
Trump
gosh,
said gonna be
folks,
so much winning.
people are
We're gonna get
complicated.
tired of winning. Trump said we'll be winning. I'm with it. Keep on winning. We are winners.
I'm telling. Okay, let's see. Let's move on to the next here. Oh yes, watch this. President Trump 117 for endorsed candidates in the 2026 primaries. 117. Let that sink in. That's U.S. Senate 8 of 8, U.S. House 101 of 101, Governor 8 for 8. Folks, I want to tell you something about this. So in years past, Trump has always wanted to endorse the winner. Okay, I think you guys all understand this. He wants a good endorsement record. But these were real risks. Paxton was a risk. Do you understand that between all the different funds and the Senate, I want you to think about the fact that John Thune wasted the donors' dollars on this race.
We really don't know what to do. Our country is winning again. In fact, we're winning so much that we really don't know what to do about it. People are asking me, please, Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't take it anymore. We're not used to winning in our country. Until you came along, we're just always losing, but now we're winning too much. And I say, no. You're going to win again. You're going to win big. You're going to win bigger than ever. Our country is winning again.
He wasted donor dollars on this race. Do you remember last election cycle when we're wasting money to save idiots in other states? I'm just even trying to remember. I think Arizona was one of them. But instead of spending money in general elections and fighting Democrats, they fight actual conservative from getting in the party. This is what they do. These people are pathetic, okay? But Trump took real risks this time around, and he is being rewarded. Look at what happened in Indiana. Remember Indiana. Be like, remember the Alamo, remember Indiana. Go to that OSZ, open source zone. It was not, folks, just white folk. Hispanics actually favored Paxton more. Plus 31. Okay? This is amazing. Everything about this. 94% of vote. Cornyn won 3 out of 254 counties. 3 out of 254. Then look at this. The El Paso Times. Cornyn says Trump can't win 2024 general election. That time has passed him by. Folks, I'm telling you who time has passed by now, and that's John Cornyn. He has been in there forever. Do we have his concession speech right in queue? Do we have Cornyn's concession speech? It's probably not till later. I must just want to bring it in right now. But we're gonna stick with the order we put these in, Rebecca, just to not confuse you so much. Isn't that kind?
That's very nice.
That's very nice. Oh my gosh, Cornyn's concession speech is so bad. He starts out talking about his 4 decades in public service. Okie dokie.
That was stupid.
Why, folks, when these people are being paid the untold dollars, getting all their insider stock deals and everything, do we call their time in office public service? Anyways, let's go to KJ of TikTok here. Another great takedown. Before Trump, John McCain, 176 electoral votes. Mitt Romney, 206 electoral votes. Ohio, Florida, and Iowa were swing states. Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania were safely considered the blue wall. Since Trump, 3 consecutive election victories. 1 stolen. Indictments coming from Fulton County very soon, with investigations launched in Arizona and Wisconsin. Folks, 2020 will be adjudicated. Ohio, Florida, and Iowa have been taken off the board. Democrats have to wage
Doing
war.
good,
in
Florida.
Michigan,
Doing
Wisconsin,
good,
and
man.
Pennsylvania.
Nice and sunny out here. 80 degrees out here in Rockford. Just chilling, bro. Thanks for asking. I'm looking this way against my window, looking out the window, seeing my backyard. It's nice and sunny.
Yeah. Sent into retirement, we have Jeb Bush, John Kasich. By the way, was John Kasich the worst of Republican candidates? What do you guys think? Just in the comments. I don't know who you think was the worst. John Kasich was absolutely one of the worst to me. He tried to seem like a reasonable, shucks kind of guy. He was just hatred for Trump is unreal. Chris Christie, Jim Blake, Bob Orker, Pat Toomey, Ben Sassy, Rob Portman, Lamar Alexander, Roy Blunt, Paul Ryan. What do you think the worst on this list I'm reading? There's some bad ones here. I don't know. I'm going, maybe it's Paul Ryan. John Kasich was so bad, though. Who do you guys think was the worst? Who are they saying in the chat? Who's the worst of these people? I mean, we got Brad Raffensperger.
Paul Ryan.
Two Paul Ryans. John Cornyn, Bill Cassidy. Who else?
Yeah, my grass is cut. And make sure the grass is cut.
Hard to pick.
Ryan. Ryan's bad. He was bad. Remember, he was the guy. He was the reason we couldn't get rid of Obamacare. 8 of the 10 GD representatives who voted to impeach Trump are gone.
Get him out of
12
here.
states of 31 registered by party had more Republicans registered than Democrats. Today, that number is 18. Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's a 50% increase. Who else? They list anybody else there? More Ryans. Good luck, Ryan. I don't know. It's John Kasich, folks. Come on. Has it got any Kasich votes in here? That guy was terrible. I can't believe people don't think he's as terrible as I think he was. Anyway. Oh, Boehner. It's Boehner, Rebecca. That's what people called him. Huh? It just happened live on Lumberjack Logic, folks. Huh? Oh my gosh. Lord have mercy. She didn't even know the joke and she pulled it off. That's funny, Rebecca. Everybody give Rebecca a hand clap in the chat because that's funny stuff. All right. Pennsylvania had 1 million more Democrat active voters. Today it's 43,000. USAID stripped out and mass fraud covered in blue states. Folks, do you realize that since USAID has been stripped of their funding, that the Democrats have no campaign cash in their coffers?
Bro,
I'm serious. The Republicans' war chest is so far beyond the Democrat war chest. Ever since USAID has been eliminated. Is this coincidence, folks? Yes or no? Coincidence? I think not. Okay. SCOTUS, from 5 conservative justices to 6. Donald Trump did not ruin the Republican Party, folks. He saved it. I mean, we are talking winning on a grand scale. Let's go to the Wall Street Map Post because it's so true. The biggest loser tonight was Senator John Thune under his leadership in the U.S. Senate for the first time in history, folks. The first time in history. 2 incumbent Republican senators have been ousted in their own primaries this year. It would have been more. Some of them quit. Okay? Some of them quit. Tom Tillerson quit. Okay? McConnell had quit. McConnell shouldn't have been there for the last 6 years. Okay? Leader Thune wasted $100 million trying to save Senator Cornyn. That's not completely true, folks. I just want you to know, because not all of that money came from the Senate fund. Okay, he did waste a lot of donor money, though. Rather than pass the SAVE Act, it is absolutely crazy that these people couldn't get the SAVE Act passed. Oh, we've got it. It is the concession speech by John Cornyn. You need to listen to this.
After a public service career lasting more than 4 decades.
Hold it. Was that really a public service career, folks? Yes, no in the chat. He says it's a public service career. Keep going.
And 18 consecutive campaign wins. Tonight, we've come up short in this primary runoff. A few years ago, I had a friend of mine say, you know what makes God laugh? He said, when we make plans.
Unbelievable.
I've spent most of my time in the Senate building the Republican Party in Texas and in the U.S. Senate, and I've always supported the Republican ticket, and I intend to do so again in this general election. I've said throughout this race that I trust the voters of Texas, and they've made their decision, and I must respect it.
Yeah, you can tell he's really respecting the voters, folks. Hey, I am going to, I think the next thing I'm going to bring in here is very, very important. But before I do that, really quickly, please do go check out my sponsor, MyPillow, mypillow.com/lumberjack. Big savings and the best sleep products available. By the way, Mike Lindell, internal polling, the Lindell campaign did go him up. So just want you to be aware of that. We'll see what happens with that. I mean, there's polling all over the place right now in Minnesota. Endorsement is coming here this next weekend. Republican state convention is happening. So if you want to support Mike, I mean, right now, big savings on the best sleep products available. We've got big sales with free shipping on orders over $100. Rebecca's pulling it up for you right now. The mattress is still 50% off on some of those mattresses, folks. He makes the best mattresses there. Coils. Mississippi? Come on, folks. Mississippi, and we're getting Cindy Hyde-Smith with a Liberty score of 54%. Mitch McConnell, of course, he's being eliminated as well. He's sitting there at 44%, one of the worst. Oh, yeah, I thought about Lisa. We're coming up on her. Jerry Moran out of Kansas. Folks, Kansas is ultra-conservative, and we're sitting here with this guy. Hey, here's the thing, folks. You take the reddest of the red states, and this is what we get. Are you guys getting the theme here? Again, they run establishment hacks, Democrat-leaning Republicans in the red states where they've got an easy pickup to get a uniparty hack in there. Just saying, what's going on? Again, Susan Collins, that's strategy. If you're in Maine, vote for Susan Collins. Whatever. I don't care. It's a blue state where we're actually getting Republican representation. When we needed Brett Kavanaugh in the Supreme Court, she was there. So take that for whatever. Lisa Murkowski, 29%. Again, she had to get through ranked choice voting. Anybody from Alaska out there? She had to get through ranked choice voting to win. We've got Mike Rounds and John Thune. Look at this. Both South Dakota senators running Liberty scores just over 50%. Now, Rounds is probably too late to get him primaried, and I think Trump endorsed him for whatever reason. Again, maybe they didn't have a strong candidate running against him. But John Thune will come up this next election cycle. He needs to be eliminated. Okay? Tom Tillis, he's gone. Roger Wicker, Mississippi, and Todd Young in Indiana. Indiana, where we just got rid of all the Rhino state senators. We can get rid of this Rhino U.S. senator. That's how we win, folks. You know how these bills are always passed where 15 Republican senators cross the line? Here you go. This is what you're dealing with. Okay? All right. Robbie Starbuck, hey, Republican senators who refuse to give the base what they sent you to D.C. to get done. You want to rethink that before you end up being the next Cornyn or Cassidy. We can do this as long as we need to until we have a Senate majority that actually works for us. Now, I'm bringing in some Tallarico clips. Okay, Graham Plattner. Okay, let me just talk Maine real quickly here before I go into these. Graham Plattner up in Maine. I told you more opposition research was coming out on him, and it was going to get even worse. The stuff is so disgusting that I'm not even going to talk about it on this show today. Okay, the comments he's made, the things he's done, it's only going to get worse. They haven't even fully opened the war chest yet, and it's already so bad. He's not going to win Maine. Folks, understand. Plattner's not going to win. Janet Mills had a better chance of winning, and she's gone. But she had her own scandals. Okay? Tallarico is the Graham Plattner of Texas. Every time they tell us, oh, yeah, Texas is turning blue, watch this. We're going to throw
everything they've got at us. They're going to dig up all kinds of, old statements, take them out of context, and try to paint them in the worst possible light, because this is the only playbook they have in 2026.
In other words, Tallarico's saying they're going to take my own statements and use them against me. Folks, none of these statements are out of context. He believes there's 6 genders.
For me, prophetic voices like Jesus have helped me reckon with my own whiteness, my own masculinity, my own certainty, my own ego. It's a never-ending process, and it's a painful process. For me,
it's all good, chat. They'll be back. They can't help it. They'll be back.
Hey, how many of you white folks in my audience are having trouble reconciling your whiteness? Are you having trouble with that one today? Because I got to tell you what, folks, I don't experience any white guilt. Maybe some of you out there experiencing white guilt. You got a little Tallarico complex. I experience no white guilt. I have no guilt about the skin color in which I was born into. 0, folks. Okay, tell me this is Texas. Hey, you guys want to know something else big? Al Green lost. Okay,
good.
The guy who made it his mission to impeach Trump. Yeah, Al Green, the one who got booted during the State of the Union. He's gone. He lost last night. He lost.
Get him out of here.
The winning. It's just endless winning.
Finally, him, Jasmine Crockett. Man, we winning, you guys. We winning.
Is that while the world burned the aftermath of the 2020 election, his office filed Texas v. Pennsylvania, which 20 other states signed on to before the Supreme Court refused to hear it. It was a serious challenge to last-minute rule changes and outright manipulation present in the 2020 race, which I've documented in my book. I have no doubt Paxton will immediately be one of the most serious voices for restoring fairness in election. Fair wins and following C's can. Look, folks, I remember that. I made a video. It was one of the videos that I made that got me a strike early on YouTube back in 2020. The Texas case to the Supreme Court.
Right, the music, the musician.
That because of what happened in Pennsylvania,
not this guy,
the votes of Texans were diluted. Because if you can steal it in one state on a federal election for a national candidate, then that's affecting people in Texas as well. I thought it was a good defense. I thought it was well written. I think it was dismissed on some sort of patrol thing. I can't remember if it was latches or standing, whatever. I think it was standing because latches were all the cases before. But it's nuts. Okay. Let's. I want to take you to the Scott Jennings clip. It's only 38 seconds. This is the truth. Okay. Donald Trump has.
He's about Jasmine Crockett. You can call out BS, but at least be accurate about it.
He is the most powerful voice in the Republican Party, even though Candace Owens and these other twits will tell you he isn't. Check it out.
Look, the bottom line is this. If Donald Trump wants you to be the nominee of the Republican Party for virtually any office, he can will it into existence. And that has happened again tonight in Texas. There's also an attorney general campaign going on underneath this. I don't think we've called it yet, but there's a strong undercurrent of who's Trump and who isn't in that race. And it looks like the more Trump-aligned candidate is going to win down there as well. So, we're learning this lesson over and over again. Indiana, Louisiana, Kentucky, where I live, and now Texas, over and over again. We're learning. If Donald Trump wants you to have the party's nomination, the voters look at that and say, we trust the president's judgment and we'll give it to you.
Yeah, folks, I trust I trust Trump's judgment. Even if, at the end of the day, I mean, he endorsed Lindsey Graham. I don't want Lindsey Graham. It's not my choice. But Trump must have his reasons. I mean, Trump wants to win. Okay? He is very pragmatic about that. He's not. It's just where he's at. And if I was in South Carolina, I can tell you I wouldn't actually vote for Lindsey Graham. I wouldn't. But it's not my mission. My mission wouldn't be to, make this whole big thing against Lindsey Graham. And I would just support President Trump and all that he's doing. And the deportation effort, which will ramp up after the midterms. I've covered that. If you guys haven't been following, beds are being built right now. Trump is about winning these midterms and then advancing the agenda again. I think somebody like Paxton in there is a big help for that, because one of the biggest detractors against the Save America Act was Lisa Murkowski, which we need to see primaried up in Alaska. And then these people like Tom Tillis, John Cornyn, and so on. So getting those people out and getting a few more ultra mega voices in is going to have a huge, huge difference. Okay. So that's just what's going on. And, Trump is winning, and his candidates are winning. Real quickly, I'll make this spot really fast, folks. If you need help with Medicare, call after 832-761-2660. Again, it's 832-761-2660. Absolutely been one of the best sponsors I've ever worked with. They are saving people on my channel money consistently, up to $4,000 a year. Give my friends at Chapter a call. They will save you money, or at least give you the peace of mind.
They think he can win in Texas because, again, like I said, I'm not in Texas. I don't live in Texas. I live in Florida. They're very similar, also very different. But I just don't think that any candidate that openly admits that they love trans children is going to win in Texas.
Something that you love that's not family or friends.
I love, and I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children who showed up yesterday at the state capitol.
I mean, how Joe Biden?
Check it out. Check it out. I did it yesterday. Check it out.
I love kids jumping on my lap, and I love kids, and I love them jumping and I got hairy legs. James Tallarico is Joe Biden 2.0. Also, I've seen him referred to as Beto O'Rourke 2.0. Either way you tally it up, James Tallarico is creepy deepy, man. That guy is a freakazoid. That guy is, it's kind of weird. I mean, again, even if you love trans children, right? Like, fine, you got your thing. Everyone's got their thing. Everyone's got their weird stuff, their weird quirks. Even if you're like, man, I know I'm a grown man. I know I'm a politician and all that. And I know that I want to be the senator from Texas, but God, I love trans kids. Even if that's your mojo, you don't say it on a podcast when you're being recorded. Unless, of course, you're James Tallarico.
Trans children.
Oh, that's what I... Hey, James, what is it you really, really love?
Trans children.
Think about that. He's in Texas, right? His answer isn't baseball or the Dallas Cowboys or barbecue or rodeo or my wife. His answer when asked, name something you really love, he said...
Trans children.
It's the most Democrat answer. Look, Massachusetts wouldn't have shocked me. New York, California, it's expected. You almost can't win. You almost can't win by being as a senator from New York or California unless you say you're openly in love with trans children. But Texas, man, and they think that they're gonna win this thing. I don't know. We're gonna get into. There's a whole lot of backlash already. Which is amazing because this thing, how old is this? When did this race end? I don't even know. It was like last night, sometime around, I guess it was like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock my time. I mean, the polls closed pretty early and John Cornyn got just dismantled by Ken Paxton, just totally destroyed. I mean, it was one of the biggest shellackings. I knew that John Cornyn, by the way, I knew he wasn't going to win, right? Like we knew. Nobody should have been twisted. Nobody should have been expecting John Cornyn by any means to win. But I didn't know he was going to lose so bigly, and he lost bigly. And now Ken Paxton is going to go face James Tallarico, as they like. That's what they call him. I didn't know that. I'm learning all these great names for James Tallarico, like Tallarico, Low T Tallarico, all these other things. We'll get to that here in just a minute. First, though, don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe to this channel. Make sure that you subscribe right now because we're going to be coming at you all the time. We got new content coming out every single day. We've got live streams and pre-recordeds and shorts and, oh my God, whenever, podcasts galore, whenever there's information you need to know, we're going to get it to you. Yesterday, I know a lot of people were shocked. I totally forgot my daughter was graduating from high school at 1 o'clock, which is showtime. So that was actually a planned absence that I didn't remind anyone of. I planned it, but I just didn't share with anybody. So I apologize if that threw you off. But here's the dealio. I'm back today, and we're very, very excited to talk about James Tallarico and all of the amazing things that he's saying. Which is, I mean, again, it's really going to be interesting because I think what's going to happen is the Democrats are celebrating. They think Ken Paxton is a horrible candidate. In fact, that's what, listen to Joe Scarborough. Joe Scarborough is, I haven't seen him this happy since they changed MSNBC to MS Now, and then I think back to MSNBC, whatever it is. And Joe Scarborough is just so thrilled.
He's a threat to our very way of life and our values. I mean, he's a vegan who thinks God is non-binary and that there's actually 6 biological sexes. It's hard to imagine someone more radical than that.
Ken Paxton embodies the broken political system that we're running against. He is the most corrupt politician in America. 3 years ago tomorrow, he was impeached by his own party for using his public office, his position of public trust, to enrich himself and his donors at our expense. And that is exactly the problem in our politics. It's puppet politicians who serve themselves and their billionaire mega donors instead of serving us. It's why we can't afford anything. It's why we can't get ahead no matter how hard we work. The system is rigged by corrupt politicians like Ken Paxton.
And that is your matchup for the Texas Senate seat after Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's dominant win over 4-term incumbent Senator John Cornyn.
And every Democrat
runoff election.
Every Democrat in America, Willie, says thank you. Because what they have just done, by this guy right here, by overwhelmingly doing it, which is, again, all people say, oh, there needs to be a strong Republican. Really? This is what the Republican primary gives you? No, I don't think there needs to be a strong Republican Party, especially if this is what the Republican Party produces. But it's hard to estimate. Did Texas Republicans just cost the Republican Party $20 million?
Definitely cost some money.
$30 million? $40, $50 million? $100 million that they could have spent in Maine, that they could have spent in Iowa, that they could have spent in Ohio, that they could have spent in Alaska. Like, they have cost
really, George, really
Republicans maybe $100 million that could go to other competitive races. Meanwhile, really, Donald Trump has enraged Republican senators. We're now saying, okay, first of all, you get this Yahoo that you endorse. And now we're going to have to work with rightfully very angry John Cornyn, Tom Tillis. Just go. Yeah, exactly. So, this is a huge win for Democrats.
Yeah. A huge win for Democrats. A huge win for Democrats, taking Ken Paxton, who's about as Texas as you can get, and putting him up against James.
This is the same guy that said Joe Biden was sharpest attack. If you guys believe him, something wrong. This is the same guy that said Joe Biden was sharpest attack. What else? What did he say? What did he say he was?
Tallarico, who loves trans kids?
Trans children.
I'm sorry, trans children. I always get those. I get those too. And trans kids just is
this is the best Biden ever. A lot of stuff he said.
Really loves. I don't know. I disagree with the assessment, especially when you look at the walloping. I mean, it was a walloping. CNN talked about how badly John Cornyn got walloped by Ken Paxton. They were in shock. Listen to this.
Election day vote, I have 87 over Cornyn 13. Goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, right. 6 in the early vote in this county, at Stonewall County, Adams talking about 28 points is the margin for Paxton over Cornyn. And now we're starting to get election day. But we said this would be the more Cornyn friendly was the expectation. The election day vote, everyone election day, presumably full knowledge of that Trump endorsement. Paxton had already done better with the election day vote back in the preliminary. Wow. A 74-point margin from 28 to 74. So if that's a harbinger, what we're seeing in that one small county, then where you see Paxton red right here, is going to get deeper and deeper Paxton.
Yeah, deeper and deeper and deeper Paxton red. Oh, look, if John Cornyn can't beat Ken Paxton, how would John Cornyn beat James Tallarico? That's my question. If John Cornyn didn't have the support of Donald Trump voters and MAGA voters and Donald Trump himself, if John Cornyn couldn't even get past that test, if he couldn't even make it a tight race, I mean, think about this. This was not a close race at all. There was another clip here that it was talking about. They were talking about Donald Trump, but let me see if I can find it here. There was another clip where I think this is it here. No, it's this one. Where is it? Here it is.
Kevin, good evening.
Quad night, my friend.
Okay. Look at this. 63.9. 63.9 is what Ken Paxton got. And John Cornyn got 36.1% of the vote. That is a walloping. That is a multiple double digits. That is, let me see if I can do it. 63.9, that's 8. So carry the 5, carry the 1. There is a 7. That's a 17.8% margin. That is a very, 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 no, is that 17 or 28? That's a large margin. That's all I'm saying. That is a very, very big margin for voters that did not like John Cornyn, Republican voters in Texas. There's no way John Cornyn was going to beat James Tallarico. John Cornyn was not going to beat James Tallarico. He couldn't even beat Ken Paxton, especially when you mix in those Wes Hunt voters. Brandon Gill pointed out again, there's no way in Texas that this guy's going to win.
What kind of grown man daydreams about trans kids?
Yeah, what kind of a grown man? That's going to be the exact motto of the Republican primary. Republican attack on James Tallarico going into the Senate race. They're going to. There was another clip here that it was talking about. They were talking about Donald Trump, but let me see if I can find it here. There was another clip where I think this is it here. No, it's this one. Where is it? Here it is.
Kevin, good evening.
Quad night, my friend.
Okay. Look at this. 63.9. 63.9 is what Ken Paxton got. And John Cornyn got 36.1% of the vote. That is a walloping. That is a multiple double digits. That is, let me see if I can do it. 63.9, that's 8. So carry the 5, carry the 1. There is a 7. That's a 17.8% margin. That is a very, 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 no, is that 17 or 28? That's a large margin. That's all I'm saying. That is a very, very big margin for voters that did not like John Cornyn, Republican voters in Texas. There's no way John Cornyn was going to beat James Tallarico. John Cornyn was not going to beat James Tallarico. He couldn't even beat Ken Paxton, especially when you mix in those Wes Hunt voters. Brandon Gill pointed out again, there's no way in Texas that this guy's going to win.
What kind of grown man daydreams about trans kids?
Yeah, what kind of a grown man? That's going to be the motto. That's going to be the exact motto of the Republican Republican attack on James Tallarico.
It's over with.
Going into the Senate race. They're going to play that clip over and over and over again. James Tallarico fantasizes, daydreams, and loves trans children.
Trans children?
Yeah, that's what. Oh my God, he's on a podcast with some girl that picked flowers everywhere. And she goes, "What do you really? Listen to the question. The question almost makes it creepier. Listen to this.
Something that you love that's not family or friends.
Something that you love. Trans kids.
You nasty bastard.
Children. Sorry, I'm going to get that right. I'm going to get that right one day. CNN rightly said that here's the thing. You've got MSNBC, you've got Joe Scarborough. They're out there yelling and screaming that the Republicans just handed the Democrats a gift, that the Republicans are like, oh, this is the biggest mistake the Republicans have ever made. Biggest mistake the Republicans ever made. This is a gift to the...
Brian, we talking about James Tallarico. We're not talking about the kids. The kids are innocent. We know the kids can't make their own decision about somebody telling them it's okay and lying to them. We lying at the person like him, this grown man. That's why I'm laughing at him. The BS he's talking about God is non-binary. What type of trash is that?
The Democrat Party, that's what they're out there saying. Meanwhile, CNN is rightly reporting that the Republicans are going to bury this guy.
This is the race they're going to run against him. It's going to be total culture war race. They're going to use that sort of blunt.
Y'all was usually about killing the kids. We going about protecting the kids. See, it's a difference between the Democrats and Republicans. Democrats want you to kill your kids. Republicans want you to save the kids. The kids should not be no homo blockers. They should not be cut up. Period. It's a difference.
A lane he thinks he is carved out around his Christian faith and his interpretation of Christianity. I think it's going to be effective. I guess one of his statements was something like, it's not clear if Jesus or God was a man or a woman, or he contains both masculinity and femininity. That's going to be a problem in Texas. And it's going to be a problem for a lot of Christian voters, whether you're Latino, black, or white. they don't agree with that interpretation of the faith and of Christianity. And so I think, he's a vulnerable candidate in Texas.
Look at that, CNN, MSNBC is already they're popping bottles, man. Joe Scarborough's all like, woohoo, bring out the champagne. The trans kid lover is going to be our senator, Senator Talafrico.
Free.
Go ahead and get our Frico on. They're already partying. They're already celebrating. They're just so excited about all the money that's going to be spent in Texas and how the Republicans are going to lose and how Texas is going to turn blue, which it's not going to do. But CNN, they're painting
Well, they was banking on Jasmine Crockett to turn it blue. Look what happened. They straight sent their ass off. They knew she was going to win. They want black representation. You had black representation. They ain't want her. Because Jasmine Crockett's all about her. She ain't about the people.
A clearer picture. They're saying, look, there's a lot of Christians in Texas, and this guy Talafrico has said a lot of weird stuff, like God is man. Well, you know what? In fact, I have the clip from CNN talking about how God is non-binary.
National Republican Senate Committee is already highlighting comments that you've made as a state representative. For example, they're highlighting this.
God is both masculine and feminine and everything in between. God is non-binary.
What is your response to them using that and explain what you were talking about?
Well, I understand that comment is a little provocative. I said it on the House floor when the extremists in the Republican legislature were picking on school kids who were different. But I don't think it's controversial theologically. Most Christians would acknowledge that God is beyond gender.
No, they wouldn't. Most Christians I know believe in the Father, the Almighty. They believe in the Son, and they believe in the Holy Spirit.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
They believe in the Father, God the Father. And last time I checked, maybe that. What's happening with my life? Wait a minute. Hang on one second. Here we go. Sorry. I think. Wait a minute. Are my lights? All right. We'll have to go without the blue light for just a minute. But anyway, where was I? There we go. Most of the people that I know, most of the Christians that I know believe in the Father, the Son, Holy Spirit. I mean, we're Catholics, so that makes sense. But it's not the Father or the non-binary parent. It's not the parent, the child, and the, Holy Spirit. No, it's God, the Father, in the beginning. I mean, all this, like anybody knows that most Christians are not going to agree with a non-binary idea of God.
In fact, the Apostle Paul, in his letter to the Galatians, said that in Christ there is neither male nor female. And so if someone's got a problem with that statement, they shouldn't take it up with me. They should take it up with the Apostle Paul.
Take it up with the Apostle Paul, who wrote in Galatians, or as James Talarico likes to call it, Galatians. I was reading the Apostle Paul in the book of Galatians, which are like relationships for gay people. Where was I? Now I'm going to hell. See, now I have to go to confession. Now, you know what's going to happen is I have to go to confession, and I have to say, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been 3 months since my last confession. And he's going to say, go ahead, my son. And I'm going to say, I made fun of James Talarico, and I said that he was reading about the Apostle Paul in the book of Galatians. And then probably my priest will laugh and then absolve me of my sins. I'm okay. I mean, I'm here for it. It's worth it. It's worth an extra couple minutes in confession, embarrassing myself to bring you the news and the information and entertain you at the same time. I'm just saying, I know that's what's going to happen. Next time I go to confession. My priest, I'll be honest with you, my priest sometimes watches this show, so he may actually be writing it down. He may actually have a list going, which would be more helpful. Sometimes I forget things, not that I'm a big sinner, but sometimes I forget all my sins. So it'd be great, Father David, if you're watching, just make a list of anything that you hear me say or do that I should repent for, and just bring it with you next time. And then I could be like, He could be like, tell me your sins. I could be like, why don't you tell me my sins? And he'd be like, okay, yeah, I got it. I got it on my phone. Whatever. Anyway, but that's James Tallarico for you. And they don't think at all. They don't think at all that it's going to be a problem. I think it's going to be a problem. I know a lot of Republicans who think it's going to be a problem. I know some Democrats who don't want to admit that it's going to be a problem. I know who else thinks it's going to be a problem for James Tallarico, and that's Ken Paxton.
Let's listen to what Ken Paxton had to say about you tonight. And I have to tell you, I don't know if you've heard this already, but he spent a good deal of his victory speech tonight talking just about you. Here's what he had to say about you.
My opponent is the most extreme radical the Democrats have ever nominated. He's even running a vegan campaign, whatever that is. He goes by a few names that you may all have heard of. Some people know him as Tofu Tallarico. Some people call him Six-Gender Jimmy. I've even heard some people call him James Tallarico. And others refer to him simply as Low T Tallarico. But no matter what you call him, let me tell you this. James Tallarico is a threat to everything we hold dear in this state and in this country. He's a threat to our security and our safety. He wants open borders and even said a welcome mat should be at our southern border. He's a threat to our children. He wants boys and girls sports, gender mutilation surgery performed on kids. And when asked what he loved outside of his family and friends, you heard what Brandon Gill said. His first answer was trans kids. That's weird, and that's a radical guy.
That is a radical guy. By the way, I was right. It was like 28. It was like almost a 30% margin. I mean, it's crazy how badly John Cornyn got beat. There's no way John Cornyn would have ever beaten James Tallarico, Low T Tallarico, Tofu Tallarico, Tofu Jim, whatever they called him. Listen, I understand that people are upset at Donald Trump, and I understand why. But there's a flip side of that too. And I'm going to get to that here in just a minute. First of all, I want to remind you that tonight, if you are a Right Pen founding member, or really if you're a Right Pen subscriber, and we have so many now, we're like right up on 1,000 Right Pen subscribers. If you're subscribed to a Right Pen, if you're one of the early adopters, Right Pen Live is tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time. 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to go live. We're going to have another party. It's going to be so much fun. And if you missed the last one, if you weren't one of our founders and you weren't able to come to the Founders Feast or the Founders Party, man, tonight is going to be explosive. We had so much fun. Ask anyone who was there. It was so much fun. This is not like a typical show. There's Q&A. You guys come up. I interview people. We talk about, you tell us our stories. Last time there was some woman who was laying in her bed. I mean, not in a weird way, just she was laying. I know it was a little weird. We got a live concert from another dude who's in a heavy metal band. I mean, we had this other guy tell all his Right Pen stories about he and his, they were trying to Right Pen Melania's butt. Again, I don't know. This is just, you ask anyone who was there. This is actually true. It's there. You can go back and watch it in the Facebook group. But tonight we're inviting all Right Pen members, all people who've accessed Right Pen, to our Right Pen Live. This is our second Right Pen Live event, and it's going to be awesome. How do you get into this Right Pen Live event, Mark K? Well, I'm glad you asked. There's a secret Zoom link. It's a virtual party, so you don't have to come anywhere. It's not in person. It's all virtual. All you have to do is click the link, join the Zoom, and party down with us. And that Zoom link is sent to all Right Pen members. So if you would like the Zoom link, if you would like access to the virtual party, if you would like to come and hang with us tonight, all you have to do is sign up for Right Pen, and you'll get that link. Like I said, the Zoom link will be sent to you immediately. You'll get it immediately, and then you can party down with us tonight. You also get access to the free Facebook group, and of course, you also get Right Pen, which is, I mean, it's new
data showing that average marketplace premiums after tax credits will. Washington's been telling you for years that Obamacare is collapsing, and without more subsidies, health premiums will skyrocket. Turns out, though, that isn't true, at least not the way Democrats want you to think it is. New data showing that average marketplace premiums after tax credits will be just $50 a month in 2026, yet the government is picking up 91% of the cost for the lowest tier plans. Translation, Obamacare isn't failing because taxpayers are paying to keep it afloat. The sticker shock Democrats keep warning about, it's mostly affecting a tiny slice of higher income retirees. That's what gets Dagan all the time about this. Not exactly the working families that they claim to defend. And that is what this government, Kevin, is shut down over right now, amongst other issues regarding Medicaid and illegals. You know, there are separate aspects of it. But Obamacare is not doing well. Taxpayers are on the hook for this in a major way. They don't want to, the Democrats don't want their pet project to fail. And so they want us to keep subsidizing it. But as Dagan always points out, and she just wants to pull her hair out, it's not like poor people are getting the benefit of that.
Yeah, well, we're not going to solve this by November 15th. I can guarantee you that. By the way, every member of the G7 is struggling with healthcare costs. There's a lot of optimism, though. If you want to look at the shiny side of this, AI may be able to solve a lot of this over the next couple of decades, particularly around data and the actual individual's data and their DNA and what they're prone to disease at and preventative medicine, all this stuff. Countries that can afford to do it now, like the UAE and Switzerland, where they only have 7 or 8 million people, they're pouring money into these narratives, and that's working.
Why are you on my channel?
Diabetes in the UAE, in Switzerland, they've got a lot of aged people,
The
80
Abbey.
years old. The promise of AI, and I don't want to be an optimist when the government shut down, we got to fix it, but we're not going to solve healthcare for the next 10 years. And all we're doing is using taxpayers' dollars going into debt to fund a very inefficient system. I had an MRI when shooting Shark Tank on a herniated disc. I had to bring the actual data on a CD.
That's what they call facts propaganda. They can't take facts.
Across the country digitally. How stupid is that?
Yeah.
Still can't do it on privacy laws. Stupid, stupid, stupid. And so I'd like to see that fixed.
Okay, a lot of inefficiencies, and you bring up an excellent point, which is we cannot solve this in a quick manner. And so, Gary, we're sitting here in a situation where the Democrats are basically holding a gun to the Republicans' head and saying, if you don't give us what we want, we're going to continue the shutdown. But that speaks so much more about them and their mindset right now and the people who are suffering as a result of it.
Yeah, the blob grows bigger. We were told by President Obama that Obamacare, your premiums will go down while millions of people go on, and we'll get rid of pre-existing conditions. Do not worry. And premiums have skyrocketed, tripled, quadrupled, and we're still in this mess. Let's hope there's a solution to this, because we're getting less coverage and paying more. And as always, on the taxpayers' back.
Boom.
As that.
Okay.
Boom, boom, boom.
Of debt. That's how you get into this position now where the government shut down, with threats from one side of the aisle on spending a heck of a lot more taxpayer dollars. Insanity run amok as usual.
Let's get away a little bit from the shutdown aspect of it, Brian. We've talked about this before, which is that we've got problems in healthcare as a nation. We all agree on that. But somehow, when it comes to saying we want to dismantle Obamacare, let's say, for example, if you ever were to do such a thing, there is no alternative. There's no viable plan to solve some of the problems.
Democrats have won this so decisively. I hate to say it, but Obamacare is working exactly according to plan. The plan was never to bring down your premiums that you pay out of pocket. It was never to bring down healthcare costs. It was to get you on the government's dime for healthcare. And that's what it's done. Look, right now, Obamacare for the typical enrollee, 93% of the premiums paid by the government. If these little subsidies go away, that goes down to 80%.
You mean the tax?
How about you can't leave the chat, bro?
80%, even if these subsidies go away, it's still the taxpayer. Obamacare was designed to do what it's doing.
I ain't gonna tell me what to do on my channel.
Pressure it's creating right
You
now
can go.
on Republicans to say,
Bye-bye.
oh my gosh, we can't make people's prices go up, so we better go along with the Democrats for another year, whatever. And the guys, the architects of this thing, Obama is getting exactly what he wanted. Government health care on the installment plan.
Yeah, I think what the Trump administration is doing, transparency everywhere. We can now measure this. We can bring this up and show what Obamacare has done, what costs have done since Obamacare came into effect, and figure out that it's not working for the taxpayer, as you point out. So I don't know what the exact answer is, and I don't know if anyone
I don't
has
get
the
it.
answer right
They
now.
come on people's channels and want to talk stupid.
Isn't working. So figure out a way to do something different.
At least come with some facts.
Government program
Working. So figure out a way to do something
Really,
different.
it's really amazing. I went through I went through a couple of these articles this morning already on the 47 Daily podcast. But if you go to writepen.ai and you run any of these articles about James Tallarico or about Ken Paxton through Writepen AI, it'll tell you the truth. For example, the New York Times, look at this. Paxton's Texas victory opens a new front in the battle for the Senate. They're pushing this narrative. They're pushing this fake left-wing narrative that Ken Paxton is the worst candidate ever, and that James Tallarico is going to be the next senator, and that Texas is up for grabs, and it's a battleground, and it's anyone's ball game, and the Democrats are going to win for the first time in like 34 years. None of that's true. And we know that because here's what they left out. This article from the New York Times, left-wing fake news media, labels Ken Paxton's scandal play, without noting that his Senate impeachment acquittal left him legally cleared to serve. The Senate acquitted him. See, because impeachments work this way. Anyone who's been following politics for, the last 10 years knows that you get impeached in the House, and then it goes to the Senate, and the Senate can either charge you, find you guilty and boot you, or find you innocent. And then you just go about your day like it never happened. And that's exactly what happened with Ken Paxton. He was acquitted by the Senate. The article quotes Beto O'Rourke. This is my favorite part. The article quotes Beto O'Rourke and Jasmine Crockett extensively as political analysts. Though both are partisan figures with obvious incentives to talk down Paxton's prospects. Now, Beto O'Rourke is one of the most failed Texas candidates ever, man. This guy failed running for Senate, running for governor, running for pretty much everything. He used to walk around. He said he was going to go door to door and grabbing people's guns out of their hands in Texas. Jasmine Crockett, you know who she is.
Better health care by any measure. Mark that, Dr. Soul. A better health. Healthcare reform. President Obama said in late June that he's determined to enact a major reform before the end of the summer. From BarackObama.com, quote, a moral imperative by any measure, a better healthcare by any measure, mark that, Dr. Soul. A better healthcare system is also essential to rebuilding our economy. We want to make health insurance work for people and businesses, not just insurance and drug companies, close quote.
Oh boy, it's hard to even know where to start. It really is. First of all, what earthly reason is there to believe that the government of all institutions can make health care less expensive? It can refuse to pay the expenses, which is entirely different. Other countries have gone that route. They have refused to pay the cost of maintaining the health system. And so in places like Britain or Canada, you don't find the same availability of health care that you have in the United States. You have something like recently studies show that 30,000 Canadians have gone to other countries for health treatment, even though they get it free of charge in Canada, and they've got to go pay for it somewhere else, and they go because the quality is not the same. The MRIs per capita in Canada are about half what they are in the United States. And Britain, which also has a government health program, they're about a fourth of what they are in the United States. If you're talking about going in for surgery, I don't have the exact figures right in front of me, but something like a fourth of the people in Canada wait 6 months or more for surgery. In Britain, it's a higher percentage. In the United States, only 5% wait that long. In Canada, you wait 10 weeks for an MRI to find out what's wrong with you.
Damn.
Now, a lot of things can happen in 10 weeks, and many of them are very bad. So if you want something cheaper, you can always get something cheaper. It's just that you're not going to get the same quality. In order for them to bring down the cost of healthcare, the government would have to operate the system more efficiently than the market does. I can't think of anything that the government operates more efficiently than the market does.
She failed as a Senate candidate. She lost to James Tallarico. Now the New York Times is going after her and Beto O'Rourke and using them as political analysts. No, that's not one-sided or biased whatsoever. Texas has not elected a Democrat statewide since 1994. Let me say that again. Texas has not elected a Democrat statewide since 1994. a 32-year losing streak that the article buries beneath optimistic Democratic framing. 3 decades, or more than 3 decades, since a Democrat has been elected statewide in the state of Texas. And that is a losing streak that I imagine will continue. Because, again, not just because WritePen AI told me, which, by the way, WritePen.ai is where you go there right now and get access to WritePen. You can WritePen any article, any tweet, any post, whatever you want, and you'll get access to tonight's WritePen Live Soiree, which is our big virtual party. It's happening tonight at 8 p.m., and we want to see you there. We want to pack the house, man. We want all kinds of – we want founders there. We want new members there. We want everybody in between. We want to stack this – and there's no – listen, I think the limit to the room is – we'll be fine. I hope there's not a limit to the room. There may be a limit to the room. I should probably check. Anyway, you want to make sure that you get access right now. WritePen.ai is where you go. But I don't know how they think that they're going to win. They're all jazzed about winning back the Senate or winning the Senate seat in Texas with this guy.
Trans children.
I mean, I'm not a Democrat, so I don't understand how they think. Now, John Cornyn, on the other hand, and people are right to think that John Cornyn is now going to have a chip on his shoulder. John Cornyn, look, there's a reason why Donald Trump tagged John Cornyn for purging, tagged him for dismissal. There's a reason why Donald Trump said, you know what, John, you're not my guy. You're not our guy. You're not the kind of guy we want representing the Republican.
Is Maloney about to break up the EU? Like all on her own? Could this even be possible? I might have no respect for this woman. Guys, she spoke just hours ago in Rome to business leaders and complained about the EU Brussels bureaucrats and how they're stifling economic growth. And she's spot on. I'll tell you, the only answer ultimately is for this whole thing to break up, because you cannot have a bunch of different countries that clearly all have freeloading problems. I mean, we've seen the freeloading up close and personal, have we not? That's why we're pulling all those jets. That's why we're pulling all those troops. That's why we're pulling our subs. Because these are a bunch of freeloaders, and Italy's sitting there going, okay, we got a problem because we got all these bureaucrats. I'm going to quote her. She says, Europe has been relentless in its ability to multiply regulations on every aspect of daily life. Yeah, you think? Yet short-sighted when it comes to making its voice heard on the global stage. So she wants a little bit more of a global platform. I encourage everybody to be cautious.
This is the last video of the day, you guys. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to call a little early tomorrow, too, for you guys. I won't start too late like I've been doing. Try to get in a little early for you.
With one Georgia Maloney. La donna è mobile, as I like to say.
You're going to make them commercials? Hilarious.
The woman is fickle. And she's kind of been all over the place. But again, this was the speech to Rome today.
Perché se l'Italia è universalmente riconosciuta come la patria del bello, del buono, del ben fatto.
It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
And she's saying here that, and this is the big part, the main glaring weakness that affects us directly is the current structure of the European Union.
It's been 3 hours and 6 minutes screaming, 3 hours and 6 minutes.
She did describe the bloc, as I said, as a bureaucracy, a bureaucratic behemoth, is what she said, that has all too often sacrificed competitiveness and strategic growth on the altar of ideological, this is very interesting, and technocratic approaches. So this is the Georgia I like. This is the Georgia I'm delighted to see once again. And I do caution everyone, though, with her, because I'm not entirely confident in all of her motives, but I don't disagree with her. She said Europe has been relentless in its ability to multiply regulations on every aspect of daily life, that's for sure, yet short-sighted when it comes to making its voice heard on the global stage. Okay, here's what I'm going to tell you about the regulation. You know, they love the regulation. Like, they've gone, like, bonkers with the regulation, right? Because why not? I mean, it gives them something to do. They don't have to worry about making any money for a living because you got the US of A out there ready to bail them out at every single turn. Heck, even when it came to the European debt crisis, And you had the mess that was Germany. Forgive me, not Germany. They were the only decent credit in all of that. You had the mess that was Greece. Nobody paying their taxes in Greece. Another freeloader problem. You know what? It was the US of A that came and helped and bailed them out. And our smart financial people, I had one of them on the show the other day. My friend Hans was the only American on that Greek steering committee, but they worked. Americans worked aggressively behind the scenes to get the Europeans in a better spot. So whether it's their military, whether it's their finances, like we've always been there, always, 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 and we're not going to be there anymore. So she called for less regulation, saying, and everybody applauded. Of course, she was talking to a business community there in Rome, so they're like, regulation. She got a lot of applause from all of these company leaders in Italy, and she said that, quote, all that is not expressly forbidden must be allowed. We ask Europe to do less, and we do it better. We ask Europe to do less and we do it better. So she's saying that, we need less regulation because it's not fair. How can you compete on the global stage when you're regulating yourself to death? I mean, it goes back to like what Trump was saying to the UK, to Keir Starmer, like, you got all that oil, for goodness sakes, go drill. Well, I can't, right? Because, I might have Greta knocking on my door. So they can't get out of their own way, but we're forcing them to get out of their own way, and that has to happen sooner rather than later, because I'm not going to sit around. You shouldn't sit around. The president shouldn't sit around and say, yeah, it's okay, tutto è bene, when you got Sigonella, one of our big bases there in Sicily, as off limits. And they've gone easy on her, guys. They've gone so easy on her because, they like her and they got a soft spot for her. But this woman, she's kind of playing both sides of the fence. She brought in 500,000 migrants. She's got a whole plan for them to come in over the next 3 years. And guess what? They cost a lot of money because they get all the benefits. And then she turns around and says, we can't use Sigonella? I don't think so. Oh, and then, so long as we're talking migrants, she's got a lot of people of foreign descent. I thought that she was against this. They are now coming into Italy. You can see them gathering for prayer. They're in Torino, in Turin, Italy. And I'm just saying, like, this was supposed to be her platform. She didn't want this. And yet when you look at the population growth, who's coming in? It's primarily people from the Middle East and from Africa. And I understand they have a population problem and that you've got a very old group of people there in Italy. And because, everybody's so woke and they don't believe in getting married and settling down and having kids or going to church, even though they're a Catholic nation, you don't have a whole lot of procreation. And this is the upshot. So now she's had to really kind of bring in all these people from afar. And so I would just say Giorgia Meloni is playing all sides there. And it makes me somewhat concerned about whether or not we can really think of her as an ally. I think it's a fair question. And as I said, La donna è mobile, the famous aria. Somebody corrected me the other day because I had Rossini in my head. I was thinking, Una voce poco fa. It's a great aria. Sung by a mezzo soprano or a soprano, and I used to sing it actually as a soprano, and it was in my head all day long, and that would be Rossini. But I was on air and I was talking about La Donna Immobile, which is the Rigoletto. Parodi did a great job on it, and someone was like, "Why did you say it was Rossini? It's Verdi." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, there's no one that can beat me at opera trivia except when I have these Biden moments on." Live YouTube. Anyway, poor Georgia, check it out. The approval rating, not doing so hot. She's around 55%. I could think that she could do a little bit better, but this is not, I don't think it's going to pay out well. There's a lesson to be learned in all of this. If you deny us our base, we're not going to take that so easily. I realize we've given Georgia a little bit of a pass. We're kind of hoping she's going to come around, but we don't appreciate it. And we certainly don't appreciate it there in Spain, where they have denied us the use of both of our bases, which are, rather strategic right by the Strait of Gibraltar. But you know what? What goes around comes around, because whether it's Giorgia Meloni, and she's struggling in some of her recent polls, or whether it's Mr. Little Pedro Sanchez, who's really struggling.
I'm going to play one more video, guys. I said I'm going to play this last one. I'm going to play one more. I just saw something popped up about Chicago. I want you guys to check it out with me.
Because we had over the weekend thousands of people taken to the streets in Spain to protest him because, it turns out he's a corrupt socialist. At least that's what's been alleged.
public safety. The first responsibility of the mayor and the governor is to keep the people.
Mayor Brandon Johnson was asked about these so-called teen tickets.
This is why the Bears is leaving. Shit like this, man.
Takeovers. Watch.
The accountability mechanism cannot just be with teenagers, right? I know where my son was at 3 o'clock in the morning after he went to prom and came home. And we need parents to ensure that their children are coming home.
Wow. He actually, of course, has a point, but it's pretty obvious what is the government's role here.
Yep, the world loves Trump, man. On the real. The Bible say love your enemy, so, hey, love them.
The first duty of government is public safety. The first responsibility of the mayor and the governor is to keep the people in Chicago and Illinois safe and not allow teenagers to take over the city. We thought they were going to run the city, the mayor and the governor, but the teenagers are now. And their actions, mob
Yeah,
violence,
you see this, man?
all the different things they're doing, are met with this kind of response by the Democratic leaders in Illinois and Chicago. They'll tell these kids, they'll say, and by the way, these are 18, 17-year-old, 13-year-old kids, hundreds of them, that took over a neighborhood and had a carnival at 3:30 in the morning on Saturday night. 40 people were shot, according to the latest Chicago police reports. But
40.
Their advice to those kids is simply this. Please, whatever you do, kids, don't shoot up the city. Don't rob stores. Don't hijack cars. Don't terrorize taxpayers. And no, by no means run over
Right,
police
Florida.
officers with a car.
You're definitely right on that.
Because if you do, we're going to get tough on you. We're going to send you to community-based intervention programs. That's their answer. And these kids aren't stupid. They know that. They've reduced curfews. What they've done, too, is they've reduced detention for...
The problem is the father's not at home, and number one, the government is raising the kids. The mama not at home. Now she is at home. She getting high. She getting drunk with her friends. They going to a park. They sitting in their car. They getting high. They getting drunk. They fuck everybody on the planet. You know what I'm saying? And the kids out here is running wild. And then I blame COVID too when it comes to this e-learning. Knowing these parents not gonna be at home, or once again, their parents getting high, and these kids now on these laptops reading and listening to the laptop. They doing everything else but that, but learning. Yeah, these parents, man, they fell off, man. I'm 43 years old. This is not how it's supposed to be. This is not how I was raised. You not be out there late, and then most of all, your last name, your name meant something. These kids don't care about their name. If they do care about their name, they want it for 15 seconds of fame, 15 seconds of fame for TikTok, Instagram. The parents not monitoring their phones no more. They're not monitoring the computers. Yeah, the nuclear family. You know, they going through this Black Lives Matter BS, and the Black Lives Matter is designed to stop the nuclear family. They want the black man to be beta males, to protect their trans BS. Basically, us be the bodyguards for them while they do their stupid stuff on the side. No. Crazy stuff. Let's continue.
Juveniles on purpose and replace them with these social service organizations and these community-based programs. These kids know it, and they know that if they go to something like that, they'll get counseling for an hour, they'll shoot hoops and play ping pong.
Thank you.
Chicago residents knew who he was.
I got 3 of them so far.
They knew he didn't represent the people. They knew that he wouldn't be a proper.
I gotta give me a blue and white one and a black and gold one.
Because he spoke their language.
And organized looting last night, and you're calling to defund the police. Explain that.
Yeah, what we're seeing is obviously an outbreak of incredible frustration and anguish that communities that have been isolated through poverty over generations. And what we have is sort of a typical, very standard, quite frankly, very tired response.
Oh man, I gotta give me some.
The regularly scheduled pandemic, which is structural racism. And that response has been to increase police presence that has not led to anything of substance to secure communities and to make communities whole.
That's how they can eat?
The real answer is, how do we make sure, the question is, how do we make sure that people can eat? Look, no one is going to condone, behavior that quite frankly speaks to a level of desperation.
So you're not condoning looting.
I'm saying that people are acting out of desperation. We don't want a society that is acting out of desperation, but you have to pay attention to the cries that people have.
So you're not condoning looting.
there's no way to embrace that. What I'm saying is you can't condone the looting that corporations continue to do every single day when they take tax dollars from black, brown, white folks all over the city of Chicago so that they can turn a profit.
Loot because
But these corporations are not shooting kids. These corporations are not terrorizing cities and communities. These corporations are not these children. You aren't responsible for them corporations. And they still voted him into office. He was the Cook County commissioner at the time, before he even got the job as the mayor. And this is what he was talking about. He was dodging all the questions. As a matter of fact, he wasn't answering their questions. He was saying the question should be. The answer should be, no, nigga, I asked you a question. Now it's time for you to answer that question. I think it's important that I bring this up. I tell you all.
Yeah, you get what you vote for. They still trying to, I guess, chase Hale Washington, trying to chase what he did back in the day by electing Lurie Lightfoot and Brandon Johnson because they black. So far, a person that's black, that's Democrat in these cities that's been trashed, ran to the ground, period. I'm from Chicago, the West Side. I was a barber on Madison and Laramie. And if you work from Madison and Laramie or no Madison, period, their whole script is corrupt. Prostitution, drugs, loose squares, 15 people outside, all type of shit. It's corrupt. And they voted for him because he black. I'm like, y'all know his policy is trash. The man is a socialist, Marxist. Nah, he cool, he black, he with us. He leads the community. I'm like, he don't represent them all to the community like he should. But I'm gonna let him continue.
It's God and family first. That's what this channel is all about, and that's what my ministry is about. But listen,
who say that it is hate speech for you to evoke the Civil War.
And then he want to defund the police, but Brandon Johnson got like over 100 police detail watching him and his family. But you want to keep telling y'all the police is not doing their job. And my thing is the police wearing these body cams, the body cams show you that it's the people that's tweaking. The cops ain't the best. They ain't the honest either and all that. But these body cams has proved the narrative that the cops are not out here just attacking black and brown people just because they can. It's the opposite. They not compliant. They want to drive away. They want to grab the officer's gun. They want to get out the car. All type of stupid stuff. So yeah, a lot of the narrative is starting to change. And I'm glad everybody's starting to wake up. I'm waking up.
To evoke bringing back the Confederacy, to say that law enforcement is a sickness when you yourself have over 150 sworn police officers.
There you go.
Detail. What do you say to these people, and will you ask your 150 sworn police officer CPD detail to stand down if you and your wife Stacy are ever attacked, shot at, or rammed with a protester vehicle?
First of all, I'm sorry to hear that your numbers of interactions have gone down.
Answering the question
to only 300,000.
Actually, millions, but personally, I've interacted with over 300,000. Believe it or not.
It went down this week.
No, it's going up. Higher than yours, by the way.
Okay.
By the way, check out your comments. Check out
Right,
the comments.
I remember that.
I think it's important to be able to make sure that to the people that you're talking to, though you're talking to less and less people every week, is that they know the truth. Here's what I've said: that the addiction on jails and incarceration, and the addiction of militarism, it is an evil. Dr. King made that very clear.
Really?
He did. And so I believe it's incumbent upon us to make sure that the real Chicagoans or the real people of America, instead of sending billions of dollars overseas, we should be spending it on the people right here in the city of Chicago.
Well, the real Chicagoans that I talk to, that I communicate with, mostly black and brown, actually, tell me that you don't seem to know the difference between illegal aliens and real Chicago citizens.
Bingo.
They feel that you are siding with the illegal aliens over them in their communities. And sadly, let's get to the question. The real question is simply this. I don't know how to make it any more direct. An illegal alien from Nicaragua grabbed a woman on the north side last week, bashed her head into the sidewalk, knocked her unconscious, and raped her. If that had been your wife, Stacy, would you want ICE to deport her, to deport that illegal alien? Yes or no?
007, he's like a scammer. Yeah, he do.
But as a man, would you want ICE to deport that rapist? No? Okay. That's the answer. That's the answer for real Chicagoans.
Mayor, sorry for being late to traffic.
Yeah, he's like a scammer. A bogus salesman. Cheap lawyer.
He answered not the
A
question.
wannabe.
He didn't answer any questions. I love the fact that he put him in a situation where he had to he had to be humanized. He had to look at it from a point of view that was more personal. Involve my wife.
Now, this will be it. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be a little early starting, but other than that, I'll be back tomorrow. It's all good, Florida. Appreciate you guys.
Involve my children. Now, would I take a different stance if it were my own family? He wasn't even man enough to answer that. As a matter of fact, he looked at that as an opportunity. He silently celebrated the fact that he was given an out because he can make it seem like that question was too rude to even answer, to even entertain.
They too slow to impeach him.
It was only brought up because, bro.
Only a handful of people in Chicago was going to the town hall meetings and protested against them. Chicago flips red. They doing their best to get the message out there, but Chicago's still too stupid. They still stuck on the plantation. You trying to get off the Democrat plantation, they're gonna say, "Oh, well, you're on the Republican plantation." I'm like, well, at least this one, it makes sense. This plantation know what a woman is. This plantation knows, you know what I'm saying, about getting money and getting a job and let me go work. Compared to when lockdown came, you had to stay at home, or you had to stay at home. You couldn't go work, or get the passport to go places, get the shot to go places. Nah, the red states let you go get your money and let you go do you. The blue states, you had to stay behind. And that's why kids be slowing down.
Really don't want to answer any questions. Why are you standing up there at the podium? So you can give a speech? So you can give your own points of view? That's why I don't like these politicians, bro. That's why I don't like any of them.
Nope.
There's not one politician that I adore. The reason why is because they're all politicians. And they all play the game. And they never say what's really on their mind. They never give us real answers. And they always give us something that only supports their side. And until we start to see that, we're not going to hold them accountable as much as we should. They only answer questions in a way that support their side. And I hate that, man.
You're right, Trump all day.
Bro. People are dying out here. People are broke out here. They're starving out here. They're sick. The drug problem is not going down, it's going up. Homeless problem is not going down, it's going up. So y'all let me know whatever y'all want me to know in the comments below. If you have yet to hit that subscribe button, please.
Right, people mad because they can't buy sugary drinks and all that and food. Get off Snap. Stop being on the government bullshit. All that reason housing is going up. Get off the Section 8. Get a job. You're an adult. Other than that, I'll be back for you guys. I really appreciate you guys, man. 100. Peace.